Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, Andre's still in Morocco, so it's me and Pete Barnes here with the show tonight, and we're talking about loads of things. We're not brothers.
Yeah. Just to make
we
that
haven't had
very
a DNA
clear.
test. Yeah, because we do look very much alike.
Let's not talk about DNA, considering what we're about to talk about, shall we
Well,
not?
that is the big story, yeah. I mean, let's go straight into that, because this is the big story.
This is huge, actually.
Makeup artists used bodily fluids on Farage during BBC appearances. Insider claims the BBC has been making a song and dance this week about comments Farage may or may not have made in the school playground when he was a child. Now it's been alleged that his makeup artists have taken unpleasant action against the Reform leader. Historian and best-selling author Lisa Hilton, who has presented BBC TV documentaries, has made the extraordinary claim that Farage's face was painted with deliberately contaminated brushes when appearing on its programmes, explaining that she heard this from a morning news veteran. The well-connected Hilton writes in the Critic magazine, naming no names, but Nigel Farage might want to start doing his own face, given the extraordinary imaginative range of natural cosmetics which the brushes are loaded with when he's in the chairs. And this is the bad bit. Well, it's all bad.
Well, it's all bad. None of it's good, put it that way.
Listen to this bit. I'm told the natural cosmetics allegedly include human saliva and other bodily fluids. I mean, what are the other bodily fluids? Well, Georgina, one of our great callers, she's been thinking very deeply about this, and let's hear what she had to say about the matter.
I think there has been wee-wee in there. I think someone's wee-weed. I think the spitting, there's probably a little bit of sperm for good measure. There's been horrible things. They might have trumped in it. They might have done anything. I don't know. But I am just letting my mind run wild. I read this morning and I felt absolutely sick. And I feel so sorry for Nigel, because that guy's done a lot of interviews. He's going to want to do his own makeup from now on, I'm telling you that. And he's also going to take his own sandwiches and flask. He's not going to take any chances. And I've got to say that I'm with him 100%. But what you've got to think on a serious note here, these bodily fluids can transmit disease.
It's
and we're talking,
disgusting.
It may be he had his lips powdered with powder or cream put on his face. He might have licked his lips. You just don't know. You don't know. But this man has been put in danger. I mean, what are they trying to do to him? If they invited me on a show,
Did you say he could have ingested this bodily fluid?
Exactly. Well, you don't know, Samara. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's a potential lawsuit.
Well,
this is a potential lawsuit, Georgina.
Well, it's a potential lawsuit.
I just want to say, by the way, this is all alleged. We haven't proven any of it. It's all alleged. But, this doesn't just come from nowhere. You don't just wake up and say, this happened to Nigel.
Without fire. There is no smoke without fire. Someone's obviously got the hump with the BBC.
Allegedly.
Who's used to work there. Allegedly. Let's put allegedly. But we know there's no smoke without fire. How many other guests have they done this to? When Nigel's been there, did he have a cup of tea? I dread to think what was in that. Did he have something to eat? What on earth is going on? The BBC are supposed to be the top-ranking, most trusted, paragons of virtue. And let me tell you, they have let themselves down time and again. And there doesn't seem to be... they're not pulled to account for it. They get away with it. Well, I'm sorry. If someone smeared my face with wee-wee or sperm, I think I'd be taking them to court. There'd be a problem. And I don't see why Nigel Farage should have to take this obscene action. You shouldn't have to do this. This is heinous.
Well, okay. Well, number one, Samara, I just knew you wouldn't be able to resist asking what fluids question before the show was
Sorry,
out.
I'm a journalist. I'm here to ask the tough questions, mate.
Yes,
How many fluids has a human body got? Well, come on now. You're a grown man.
Yeah,
There's
well,
only so
don't
many
act like you were
fluids
born
that a human body
yesterday.
got.
Yes, so a lot of speculation, but she spent a bit more time on her analysis, and she's right here with us. Georgina, what's going on, man? Have you any more thoughts on what was in the fluids, allegedly?
I had to be very careful. In fact, first of all, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Pete. I had to be very careful what I said because, there may have still been children up at that time. But when people go to be a guest on a show, you're supposed to be safe. You're not supposed to have any kind of bodily fluids either put in your food or on your face. There's a lot of things those people could have done. They could have wiped the bottom with the makeup sponge. They could have done anything.
You put a lot of thought into this, Georgina, I'm not going to lie. But you make such a really good point, because I go all the way back to the milkshaking incident. That was laughed off. That was kind of... It was all pushed
What was
away.
in the milkshake?
Yeah, because this is the thing. It could have literally have been anything.
It was a chocolate one. And then they add tax to them to add salt, add fuel to the fire.
I've got to say, for those of us who sit on the right, I have to admit, it's somewhat of a kind of dangerous world for us at times, because obviously you have the extreme situations of Charlie Kirk, but then, if I look at people like Dan Wooten, who just this week had to, he had a restaurant call up and ask him to take a photograph down of himself and Lucy Connolly and Alison Pearson, because they had a couple of bad comments on a Facebook post. I was like, this is absolutely obscene. For those who just have a different opinion from the majority, it's not even the majority these days, is it? These loud vocal people that just think that they can do whatever they want. I mean, it's ridiculous. You bang on here, Georgina.
But on the plus side, his skin is looking remarkably good.
Oh, Ash, come on.
That's the excuse I use.
You've got to be really careful because your skin is porous. And the thing
you can get HIV or hepatitis or anything like that. And next time he goes, he should take a sample and get it tested by some lab.
Well, the thing is, what he needs to do, he needs to get his own makeup. He needs to take his own sponges. Where are the people who are supposed to be protecting him? This worries me.
To be honest, though,
we do our own makeup for that very reason.
As you can perfectly tell. But I'll be very surprised, actually, if after, I'm going to say, they had the migrant who was, filming himself on a dinghy coming to kill Nigel Farage, that he hasn't actually upped his own personal protection and the measures that they take, because you can have
taken some away, haven't
yes,
they,
they have,
security guards?
The Home Office...
It's a bit like they're trying to do the Trump thing, where they take the security away, hoping that someone else will, bump him off. That's the worry about Nigel. You've got to be secure.
As well, that I thought, and probably everyone else has sorted this as well. Whilst he's been there, you get complimentary teas, you get complimentary coffee.
Yeah.
We know why now.
As well.
True. And,
now we know why.
I will say, having been at the BBC, it's not the best coffee machine, if I'm being honest. So he probably hasn't had it from there, luckily for him. But I have to admit, the sanctity of a British man's cup of tea is sacrosanct.
It's probably a cappuccino, I would have thought,
probably,
to cover it up.
That's probably had the treatment as well. So we've got to think safely here. This man's obviously been put on offer. And we can't have this. He is going to be our next Prime Minister, and he should be looked after. We need proper security for him. I think it was disgusting when his 75% of his security was taken.
Well, you know what? They always give the leader of the opposition the same security as the Prime Minister, and I would say, being as his leading the polls, he should be treated as Prime Minister.
I just have this theory that we protect all politicians at the same level, because let's not forget we had in the last general election we had the offices of a Conservative MP burned down.
Yeah, but you can't have the same with Prime Minister security for all MPs, can you?
Not to that level, but I also think
Farage, you should probably get to that level.
Well, I have to admit, there is the data's there for sure, but I mean, it is one of those things that he is really just a backbencher. He's not really holding a position. It's more one of the positions of.
But he is a leader, and he's.
Pete, with great respect, he is holding a position. He's very much loved by the British.
That's a position of the polling, Georgina. That's not an official position. It is His Majesty's official opposition.
The polls never lie,
polls
Pete.
never lie. Oh, the ones we like don't lie.
Brexit.
That's the rule,
thanks,
isn't it?
Georgina. Now we're going to go and talk to our mate George Madgwick, who's a leader of the Reform UK in Portsmouth, the council. You must be disgusted by this, because if they're doing that to your leader's tea, what are they doing to your tea, George?
Well, what a show to come on to. What an intro.
What's in your tea?
Well, I've got one here, but I made it myself.
I mean, I've made my own. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, we're all good. I mean, look, this story's mind-blowing, but I mean, it doesn't surprise me. As we know, across the UK, there's always these little scandals where fast food joints have X, Y, and Z, put in them and stuff. But, people are malicious, and, these people do have access to these high-profile politicians and celebrities one-on-one in an environment, and I think it's a good point. But when you're saying, I think the previous caller said, why are they not checking everything? But how are you going to check out every makeup brush?
Yeah, this is the reality.
You take a little scoop, put it in a
George,
vial.
I'm going to say you sit it's very comfortably with reform. Are you changing your routines? Are you going to be a little bit more cautious now? Because I have to admit, after the Charlie Kirk incident, I know a lot of people who were, they pulled back on their opinions and they weren't as forthright as they used to be. Are you scared about what's in your cup of tea?
Self-censoring.
No, I mean, to be fair, if it's a genuine question, I kind of went more full throttle. I mean, the Charlie Kirk incident actually made me think, do you know what? I need to speak up a little bit more. Because I felt that, silence in that position or silencing after that act happen actually works in the person's favour than trying to silence people. And I thought, no, I'm not having that. So it actually made me more incentivised to be more proactive and more vocal.
Have you experienced any trouble yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's happened to you?
I've had a couple of issues this year where the police have ended up arresting people. I've had a couple of people that have actually gone through and been charged with harassment. I'm being stalked at this very moment in time by an anonymous person, which we're trying to track down. So so you do get it in this line of work.
Yeah, I have to admit, I've had my fair share of run-ins. I've been called a Nazi that many times. It doesn't really feel like anything anymore. Like, this is the point, isn't it? That when these people overplay the cards like that, then
it loses its
but
meaning.
also that it means that we take our eye off the ball and we don't take threats as serious. So I think we have to be just as kind of on it all the time, really. And it's a sad old world, really. But I was going to say, the one thing that really does strike me about this story is, even because obviously it's all allegedly, nothing's been confirmed. Even if it isn't true, it sounds like it would be true. I think that's the big problem here, isn't it? Is yet again, it's the left believe that they're morally superior, so they can do whatever they want, and it's the right that just has to sit there and take it because we're all terrible people.
Yeah, and as I think I said before in a previous interview with you guys, the left at the moment kind of think it's fair game. Yeah. That's the way they see it. And I've had a few people on Twitter, Twitter X, say it's okay because he's reform, So
well, it's a two-tier thing, like when Joe Brand said, "I wish it wasn't, I'd be something. It'd be worse than a milkshake if nothing happens to them." If you're on it, it's again a two-tier media, two-tier police.
Yeah, definitely, because I've got to say, I got to the Dawn French situation and her comments over Israel and things like that. If a right-winger made those comments about Palestine, they'd be bumped off of Marks and Spencer's advert quicker than you could
count.
I think she's still on the advert, yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous. The double standard is so clear. But like you say, George, they don't care. They just don't see it as a problem at all. And I'd have to admit, I do agree with Nigel that, if you think he's bad, the thing that could actually replace, the centre-right is a much more dangerous place than a lot of people realise it is. And, they should be very careful what they wish for at times.
It's happening in the States, isn't it?
Yeah.
I had this conversation with somebody literally yesterday in Portsmouth, somebody on the left wing of politics, and I said, trust me, if you guys get rid of me, there's somebody waiting in the wings a lot worse that will fill that void. And there is, because there is always going to be a void for that kind of personality, so people got to be careful what they wish for. Reform is clearly speaking to a majority of people, and just because people don't like the opinions doesn't mean those opinions are wrong.
But they're lashing out more now, aren't they? Because they know they're on losing, and they're like toddlers. They're narcissist babies. They won't be rational and man up if that's the right thing to say.
Yeah, I always say they're like a wounded animal backed into the corner. That's when the most it's wounded, and that's when the most vicious. And I think they know that their grip is dissipating, and reform is very much on the rise, and it's undeniable, really. But I have to admit, this story. You don't really want to go there with your mind as to how bad this could be, but the BBC and these kind of lefty institutions, not naming any other stations, but they can't use taxpayer money to just do their own vendettas, because that's what this is. This is the rot of our politics with a rainbow lanyard. It's rather ridiculous. But I was going to say, George, the problems of the BBC always stem from the fact that it's taxpayer funded. It's crouching on, what is it, 180 odd quid now, if not more.
Yeah.
Do you really see a way out for the Beeb? We got story after story after
story.
And
it lost $1 billion, didn't it?
And it lost $1 billion, and I was surprised it was only $1 billion. But do you see a way out for the Beeb over any of these scandals, because they don't think they're doing anything wrong?
Yeah.
No, of course they don't. Of course they don't. I had an interview with Kevin O'Sullivan the other night, and I was against a guy called John, who was a producer at BBC. Yeah. And if you've watched that, it was hilarious.
No,
John,
I've also been on with
him. Is he that old bloke? I know. He's funny,
and if anybody listening to the show currently wants to laugh, please go on YouTube.
He just defends anything the BBC do, no matter how bad it is.
John was having a wine during the interview, and it was quite a comical one. But I don't think I don't think that there is a way back for the BBC. In my opinion, you know, as I said the other day, BBC is the home of Jimmy Savile, of the Princess Diana scandals. They're the home of Hugh Edwards, they're the home recently of Bob Villan's scandal. You know, and it just feels like, and I'm only tip of the iceberg here, but it's just scandal after
it's
scandal.
rotten throughout, isn't it? It's not one rotten apple. It's now rotten to the core, and it needs to be broken
It's the point
up.
of the saying, isn't it? The one bad apple ruins the orchard. Everyone forgets about the rest of the saying.
The
it's not just
orchard's
about,
ruined, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's really the point. And I listened to the select committee hearing because, you know, I hate myself. And with the BBC chairman up there, and he was adamant there was a case for defending the BBC over the Trump edits and all the rest of that stuff. And I was like, you just don't get it. But what really struck me is the way that the entire committee was just asking every wrong question because they didn't want to really confront the problem of the BBC, and that was its bias. They just wanted to blame Robbie Gibb. I mean, I know Robbie reasonably well, and I was like,
the Bee Gees guy,
I have to admit, the one remaining one. But it's rather like, it's crazy how they're just going after him, and they think that that's the you know, we get him and then we fix the problem, and it just doesn't work like that, does it?
No, and I mean, as you'll know too well, they have like an internal comms procedure where when something like this happens, they send out spin lines, almost like a political party,
Yes.
in fact. They send out spin lines where they say, this is how you answer this is how you deflect this is the reasoning for this. And they make their staff, employees, really believe in their spin. And as you say, this then makes it a systemic problem because they don't feel that there's anything wrong. They feel justified, or they feel that it's acceptable because of X or acceptable because of Y.
Well, even that Trump clip, which was ridiculous, they're now trying to say, oh, it was a mistake. I mean, how will they explain the bodily fluids if that comes? They'll actually have an explanation for it. Oh, yeah, it was a mistake. We normally do this when Hugh Edwards was it. No. Anyway, look, so Martin Waddington says, Ash, I've just tuned in. Your brother's lost a lot of weight and grown a beard in less than 24 hours since he was last on.
I know, yeah.
He really, that Ozempic's very powerful stuff. And why is he affecting a northern accent? Yeah, he does that when he loses weight. And calling himself Pete, that's confused in Bedlington. Anyway, 03444991000. It's me and Pete Barnes on Talk. And George Madgwick, Reform leader in Portsmouth. Stay with us.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's me and Pete. It's Talk. By the way, give us a ring, 03444991000. We'll ring you back. And also on that number, you can leave us a WhatsApp voice message if you're scared. 03444991000. We got George Madgwick, leader of Reform UK in Portsmouth. We're also talking about the brain drain. All our best, brightest young kids from 16 to 24, I think 110,000 have left or are thinking of leaving. And these are, you know, the first world, our best and brightest. And they're looking here and they're going, well, I can't buy a house. I'm going to get tax to the hilt to pay for people who are just sitting in their houses watching whatever they watch these days. And I'm getting out of it because there's no future for me. And we're losing all our the brain drain and bringing in people who are just doing nothing.
Yeah, because this is the point. It's not exactly the kind of the dossabouts, the people who aren't working. These are the people who are going to be the big earners, the people that we need to literally fund the rest of the country. You know, we already have a mass exodus of millionaires, unlike any other nation, and you know our tax base is literally getting on a plane and leaving.
And they're being welcomed, aren't they, in other countries?
Oh, yeah,
you know.
Because other countries are paying for them to come here. They're giving them golden handshakes. They're setting them up for life in places like Abu Dhabi. I know Milan has a great scheme as well.
Yeah.
You know, Portugal at one point was really up there. Australia.
The medical stuff, our doctors, I mean, we export our doctors trained in very top British medical schools and bring in third world doctors.
I thought they were going to stay for the betterment of the NHS. It was about the NHS.
A lot of them, they're not even giving them people. I know Grace, one of our callers, very clever. She wanted to do medicine. A lot of people aren't even be given the opportunity to do it. They're getting. I think Theresa May cut down the.
Yeah, that did. Yeah, but then to be honest, the BMA play a big role in that because they have they strangle the number of people that could become a doctor in this country, so they have collective bargaining and can hold us all to ransom. So it's rather ridiculous. But yeah, we're bringing George. I was going to say you're a youngish person, are you? I don't actually know how old you are.
You can't tell when they've got no hair. It's very
also when they're not in the room. When they're not in the room with you.
He could be 60. He could be 60 or 25. James Wales.
Yeah,
like a young James Wales.
I was going to say, like, you know, have you seen this in Portsmouth? Because obviously, like here in London, it's a very different situation. You know, London is always different to the rest of the country. But, you know, Portsmouth, it's a big city. It's got, you know, it did at one point have a big, thriving kind of up-and-coming economy.
Premier football team.
You know, have you seen people literally get on a plane and leave?
Yeah, I mean, Portsmouth's a massive university.
It'll be a boat shit from Portsmouth, won't it? They'll leave on the ship.
That's true.
Yeah, a huge university city. We have a lot of young people here, and we offer a lot of really decent degrees. So we do have some really intelligent people here. But you're right. I think for me personally, a lot of people in our area are very, very heavy on Dubai at the moment.
Yes.
Huge.
You don't pay tax. You know, there's loads of things. You get lovely apartments and everything. You know, so
and you've got to remember that a lot of young people now are earning money on social media, you know, and using digital stuff, drop shipping, you know, social media content, YouTube.
And remote working. I think remote working has changed the game. You know, I was listening to talk earlier. I think there was somebody on with Kevin, and they were saying that their son had literally gone to Thailand to work there, and they were actually the company was based in Manchester or something like that. They said they just didn't need to be in the country to do the job.
The employers pay less national insurance and things if they.
And that is the real big one. You know, we talk about
and they're cheaper. Like a guy I know who employs people in South Africa, it's a lot cheaper to get a computer person there, and it doesn't matter that they're not in Britain.
Oh, definitely, but also it's the fact that the cost of employment is so high in this country. You know, we can be thankful that they got rid of the
red tape and everything.
All the red tape, but on the workers' rights bill as well. You know, you want to bring unemployment down. That is not how you do it. It is just ridiculous. Yet again, we see a government that has no real world experience. It's like they just have walked around in a bubble their entire life. I know the public sector. Yeah, and I wish they'd stayed in it, if I'm being honest. But I think for the rest of the country. But like I said, George, where do we actually get a grip with this issue? Because let's be real, most people at the moment for the next few years are going to seriously consider leaving. They're going to seriously consider upping. You know, they've got no real reason to stay. How do we keep them here? You know, because I don't think taxing them to keep them here is going to work.
I think it's got to a point it's going to be very, very difficult, to be completely honest with you, with the current government who seriously have clearly no ambition. You know, if you're a young person, you're fit and you're healthy and you've got a good job, maybe you're earning 80, 90 grand online, you know, why would you stay in this country when you can go to a warmer climate, 0% tax, you know, you can live life, you know.
And there's a woman here with 4 kids getting more than 100 grand just sitting in her house. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, a lot of people, we've already had it in a sort of microcosm by people leaving. I know in Birmingham, where I'm from, people left Birmingham because it was people used to stay in Birmingham, you know, it was a good big bustling city. Now people are leaving, go to London, a lot of people my age. What's it like in Portsmouth? I mean, what's it like where you're from?
I was going to say, well, like the idea of like kind of staying locally wasn't really a thing. If you wanted to do certain professions, and you had to move, you know. But I've always said that this is one of the big problems: is kind of getting things out of London has never really worked, because it's not just the geographical point; it's the fact that everything is here. Yeah. You know, one thing can't go, everything has to go at the same time.
It sucks it all in.
Yeah, it just sucks everything in. But what's it like in Portsmouth, George?
Well, look, we've got a good employment rate in Portsmouth and things like that, and we've got some good opportunities.
Yeah, but what in it? I mean, you know what I mean? Delivery drivers or what?
Well, we're the home of like Airbus, for example. We've got a massive defence facility where it's our biggest employer, thousands and thousands of engineers, really tech-savvy people. So we've got, and look, we're the home of the Royal Navy as well. You know, we've got historic dockyard. We've got a lot of good careers that you can have in Portsmouth. So I'm not going to turn around and pretend that we haven't. But as I say, that for the young people that aren't engineers, for the people that are kind of more creative, for the people that are more entrepreneurial, for example, that want to do self-employment as an option, that's where we're seeing
I couldn't agree more with you on this, because you know, one of the great things of our economy for a time was the creative sector. The movie industry here was booming at one point. Like everything was made here, like all the
Thatcher in the 80s, the way she encouraged, you know, working class to be entrepreneurial.
You know what we used to have?
You know, loads of money.
Yeah, we used to have this thing, and I bang on about it all the time. It's called industrial strategy. It's called doing something with the economy. What Rachel Reeves got up in front of the dispatch box and said to everybody is, I'm going to tell you that stagnation is stability, and it's not how the economy works. She said, I've stuck to my fiscal rules. Great. You've just decimated the thing around you. It's just ridiculous. And it's infuriating because we had the economy and the way the country is at the moment, we could go either way. We could either become one of the most prosperous ones in the world, or we're going to continue down the dark alley. And unfortunately,
we're doing that for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Is there a chance after the 3.5 years to get out of it, though? Will it be too late?
I was going to say, the thing is, guys, the problem is they always say that we need the youth, the generation, to pay the tax bill for the pensions. But if the youth are exodusing from the country at rapid rates, then there is going to be no money to support people.
Yeah. Also on that, can I just say that people have to stop using young people as just a tax, you know, as just a cash cow. The culture around how we talk about young people, because I love how we're all now saying that everybody's wonderful. This time last week, everybody was saying young people were the ones who couldn't be bothered to do anything. They're all lazy and had anxiety and wanted an emotional support animal. We've got to have a little bit of consistency when we're going to try and fix this, because why would people stay in a country where you're just seen as the thing to pay for your pension? There is a cultural aspect to this. We blame the high taxes, that's one factor, but there is another bit to
British culture, and also, you know, they're going on about how they've got immigration down, net immigration, but actually it's because of these people leaving, and actually it's worse than the Boris wave, because we're losing people from here and bringing in people from the third world who don't want to do anything.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I say, as I say, if you're a young person, why be? And let's skip it. You mentioned Australia, and I can give you good examples of that. I know a teacher, for example, that was in this country, a young teacher, and has gone to Australia because they're offering better rates of pay, you know, a temporary visa, good accommodation. Same with nurses and doctors. They're offering those things. They're opening these doors up. So I know people, even graphic designers. I know a graphic designer who's gone across to Australia for 6 years to do stuff over there. People are leaving because the money's better, the lifestyle's better, the climate's better, you know, and
you can work as a graphic designer in this country and move to Australia. I mean, I know a lot of people in India now are doing very cheap graphic design for companies.
I'm just thinking there's also another problem we have is we're making it very difficult for those people with the skills that we need to come here, because we're absolutely squeezing them for every penny that they've got. We're making the visa restrictions so ridiculous.
Unless you come on a boat.
The companies won't employ people if they need the kind of the sponsorship and all and this kind of stuff, because we seem to be punishing the people that we want and letting in the people that we don't want and like giving them everything. And we suddenly wonder why we've got absolutely nowhere as a country and everybody's at each other's throats. It's because of that problem. We're giving the things to the wrong. We're doing it the wrong way round.
That is because of the backbench. That's because of their majority and their backbenchers, isn't it? They're caught in that trap.
Yeah, don't get me started on the backbenchers. I'll do a 4-hour special on the backbenchers of the Labour Party if you want. Every single one of them needs to resign, as far as I'm concerned.
So what will Reform do if they get in 3.5 years? I mean, the polls saying they will. What can they do to turn turn it around, because it's going to be in a far worse state than now.
It is, and I mean, you never know what happens in 3.5 years. I might be part of that table that makes those decisions. Right now, I'm not. I think for me personally, and talking on a personal aspect, I think we've got to get rid of a lot of the red tape with the creative industry. People saying about the film industry, for example, we had it in Portsmouth, and we've got beautiful sceneries. We had the Les Miserables film here with Hugh Jackman and stuff, but they put so much red tape up, and we've got a massive film study education thing in Portsmouth University, and we were trying to say to them, get rid of the red tape. Let's bring film companies down to Portsmouth. Let them film our sites and assets, because that brings tourism. But you have to fill in paperwork. You have to do this. You have to apply for this. There's too much of this red tape. There's too much of this stagnation. So I think from a reform perspective, we need to bring culture, creativity, media, film, music, creative arts back to this country.
But I just thought to the judge, you also need to bring back into the culture is risk. Allow people to take a risk. We have become such a risk-averse society. That's why entrepreneurs won't invest here. That's why people are that's why there's so much red tape. It's because heaven forbid that people, take a chance on something, actually dare to want to build something here. I'm sorry to cut you off there, George. It's just I just thought of the point.
It's all the red tape, isn't it? They're worried they'll get this fine. Same with landlords. You might get a whole year's rent fine, stuff like that. So people are worried to take a chance on things. Same with employing people. Luckily, they changed the workers' rights. But it's all these things, like Pete's saying, red tape. People think, well, I better not get into that.
No, but you need to incentivise entrepreneurs, especially young ones. You need to say, look, if you start up a business and you invest your own money, you can have a tax break for a couple of years. You can get this, you can get that, because these young people and small businesses are, number one, our future, and two, they stimulate the economy, right? They employ people, they create jobs, but yet we're making it so disincentivized.
But they don't like them, do they? They only like the public sector. I mean, a third or half of our council tax is just going on pensions. They're unbelievable gold-plated pensions.
The waste is crazy. The waste in civil servants and stuff is absolutely.
But they're never going to back growth with the commercial sector, are they?
I don't think they understand what the word means, if I'm being honest at this point. I like the idea of it for them, but I don't know I don't know what they would do if they ever got any growth of their own kind of making.
No, but it's the mentality, though, isn't it, guys? Because they don't have a corporate boss that has to pay shareholders. So
like
when they buy something, they just sign it off and buy something. It's not their money, right?
What you do with Tim Davey when you absolutely do make a bit of a clanger, they give you a nice little handshake, you get your pension, and off you walk into the sunset like it's a Western movie. That's half the problem.
The first thing I was ever told when I got elected as a councillor, I wanted a new community hub, not a big one, a small one, and I knew somebody that kind of built these projects and stuff, and I got a private quote. I can't remember what it is now, and I went to the council and said, look, this is what I want to do, and they said, oh, it'd be this price, and I said, that's way too expensive, 4 or 5 times the amount that I could get it for. And they said, no, with councils you always chuck a zero on the end. That's what they always do, and that's what I was literally told. Within my first couple of weeks of being a councillor, always chuck a zero on the end, because
100%.
they're robbing us blind.
1,000%.
I'm going to say, when I've been in the corporate space, we've had public contracts and things. You do the same thing. You whack a zero on because nobody is actually checking the numbers. They just sign anything because it's not their money.
And we wonder why Birmingham City Council went bankrupt. Anyway, 0344 499 or 1000. We've got Stephen, Laurie, Janice, Paul and Dawn as well. And we'll be going through the papers. But at the moment, we're talking to George Madgwick, leader of Reform UK in Portsmouth. And you're watching Talk, but give us a ring, 0344 499 1000. Back in a jiffy with me and Pete.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's me and Peter. We're talking to George Madgwick, Head of Reform UK in Portsmouth at Council there. Now we're talking about 53,000 illegal migrants are missing. More than 53, this is a Telegraph, 53,000 illegal migrants have absconded and are missing according to the Internal Home Office figures. 736 foreign offenders have been absconded and gone missing after being released from prison or detention. They were meant to be deported, but they're just sort of walking around.
Being released from prison just seems to be what you get to do these days.
Yeah, even if you try and say you got it wrong, I go, don't be silly.
You stick around, won't you? Because you get some money.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and if you don't, you try and get back into prison. Like, what's his name? The guy from was it
Ethiopia? Yeah,
and he got £500 to go, which is like a year's wages out there.
That's obscene.
But apparently they've got very little chance of getting caught unless there's a raid on the place where they're working. They happen to be there.
Yeah, because this is the point. These are the numbers of the people that we know that have gone missing, let alone the people that we don't know that we've got missing, because these are obviously internal government numbers, so they can't count. Let's not forget we have an Office of National Statistics that can't count, and then wanted to go on strike because they had to go into the office one day a week.
George, what's it like in Portsmouth? I mean, have you got these barber shops and American candy stores out there?
Oh, guys, you're going to get me started on this one. Oh, dear Lord.
Wind you up and off you go.
Yeah. Just set the trap for me. Listen, I've said this before. Portsmouth's got a big issue. You know, we've got more illegal migrants or migrants that entered here illegally, whatever you want to call them, in Portsmouth than any other authority in Hampshire.
Oh, that's right. You had secret houses, multiple occupation that was discovered, wasn't it? 500 or something.
So the government told us there was only 90 migrants in the city, and an undercover report then found out that we had over 700, and it led the Home Office to doing a full report to tell us that they had taken over HMOs, family homes, without us knowing about it. And
shocking.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really.
Would you say the government are the enemy of the British people now? A bit the BBC and a bit like they're actually the enemy of the British people.
Listen, I mean, like, as the general population and as councillors, we're meant to trust the government when they tell us something, right? And they told us repeatedly over
Pull the other
several
leg, George.
years.
Pull the other leg.
I know, we're meant to, but, they told us over several years, and not just Labour, we're talking about Conservatives as well. You know, I mean, Penny Mordaunt herself, who was the MP of Portsmouth North, she even put in an article a couple of months ago that she had reassurances from Suella Braverman when she was the Home Office Secretary at the time, so that there wouldn't be any more coming to Portsmouth. Then we found out that there was more that come in under Suella Braverman. So even the Conservatives are guilty of it. However, I don't really care about politics when it comes to this. It's disappointing.
I agree with you on that.
It's actually disappointing because we need to be told the truth. And I think the biggest issue with the general population in relation to this issue is that they hide it from us as though we're not capable of knowing the truth, as though we're not trusted with the truth.
That is such a good point, because I tell you now, the reason that everybody is furious is the phrase "found out." The public found out about something. I'll use the Afghan
every other day we're finding out.
It's every other day. It is one thing after another, and it has been done using our money, and then we weren't told about it, and then they tried to hide it from us. That is why people are absolutely furious. And the trust works in two directions. Obviously, people don't trust politicians. We don't trust the establishment and all the rest of it. That's just natural. But this has been taken to the nth degree because of gaslighting.
No-brainer Rainer. A couple of months ago she resigned for tax evasion. Now that she's going to come back, I mean, it's like we just forget about it. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Bring her back in.
I
mean, without TalkTV, my summer would have been hell, because Peter Caldwell helped me break a story back in I think it was July or June now. And if any of you people are listening at home, just search in Portsmouth cover-up migrant, and you'll find that you may remember this story, that the chief executive,
I thought it was this one,
messaged me and basically said, this is what's going on in our city. Do not tell anybody because of community cohesion. You cannot disclose that a migrant is alleged to have raped a young girl. And I sat there and said, you are having a laugh. I'm not keeping that secret.
Yeah, community cohesion. How's that working out for you right now? It's ridiculous.
But that's what made people angry.
Yeah.
That's what made people go to the streets and protest, because they felt that once again an institution, on the week of the Casey report being published, I add,
which people are going to find out about anyway. So then they're going to obviously be mistrustful, because they're going to see that you weren't told about it.
I mean, we're asking for trust from this government. I mean, Rachel Reeves just got up in front of the world essentially and just told a bunch of lies. They've had to roll back on the workers' rights bill and all that.
Well, Starmer in the Oval office.
nothing. Yeah,
Just look at Lammy. He's walking back now with the jury trials thing, isn't he?
Oh, well, we should,
Buffoon.
thank the Lord. But, this is the point, is that the people who said that the right was the greatest threat to democracy seem to be the ones that are tearing it down. And, I say this all the time, that these institutions have to be saved from the friends before the likes of us get at them.
And in relation to barbershops, we've got a high street in Portsmouth, and we've now got 4 barbershops in the space of 8 shops.
They could start a barbershop quartet.
Oh,
and
that'd be nice.
three of them are owned by the same person.
2 barbershop quartets.
What
They
do
could
you
be
need
rivals.
this for? Yeah, what do you need this for?
Well,
And,
you don't, do you? But I might need it.
You take it for both of us.
And the candy store, yeah.
But in relation to how you started this segment, it's talking about more than 5,000 illegal immigrants have gone missing. Well, when you put them in hotels and you put them in houses of multiple occupancy where they can literally leave the front door unchecked, and you're surprised that they go missing before.
And can you? I mean, you're a councillor. You must go around Portsmouth. You go to the police and go, look, there's these 4 barbershops. What are you doing about it?
Yeah, of course, but you get the same answer, And
community cohesion.
Talking,
Had to talk to a community leader. That's my favourite one.
Yeah, and it's the stripping of funding for local government. Trading the councils are responsible for trading standards, right? So if you report it to the police will contact the local trading standards department. I mean, I can only speak on behalf of Portsmouth, but our trading standards department has been stripped to the bone.
But it's also HMRC. But of course, they're actually in on it because they're making money from this money laundering, actually, into the Exchequer, which is probably why they turned a blind eye for it for about 5 years, because of course there was billions of pounds coming into the Exchequer from these money laundering outfits.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And
Sorry, James, I just think you make a really good point here about how we stripped local government bare of all the resources, and then we dumped more responsibility and more things on it and on it, and I think you suddenly wonder why everything has collapsed. It's because nobody really has decided what a council is for. Is it for fixing the potholes?
It's for them making their own in their own nest and getting a great pension.
The worst one isn't just the worst one is always the issue of elderly care, old age care. But I tell you, you fix that one and you are in power for the rest of your life. It's ridiculous. But
I was going to say, with local government, though, you've got, people don't realise you've got statutory obligations, right? And those are the things you have to do. And everything else is kind of optional. But people wonder what is optional. Like community safety wardens that tackle graffiti, that's optional. You don't have to have it. And trading standards is one of those things where you are obliged to do, but it doesn't tell you how many members of trading standards you might have to have, which is the key point. So when councils need to strip their budget and make cost savings because of things, trading standards in areas like that are the first ones to go.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you can see as well, what's optional. It shouldn't be optional, to leave veterans on the streets and then just taking people who've just turned up on a rubber boat. Anyway, that's George Madgwick, leader of Reform UK in Portsmouth, which was it was great to have his views on all that. And next we're going to talk to a mate of yours, Lekan Ali Balogun. And Chris in Epsom, he called us last night and we said we'd give him more time, but we're going to talk to Lekan in a minute about over 110,000 young people fleeing Starmer's high tax Britain, people your age and maybe a bit younger. And we'll find out, well, we know why, but we'll find out more about it from Lekan after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's me and Pete. Andre's still in Morocco, man. But, you know, maybe we'll get him on later. I don't know, but it depends what he's up to down the Shook. But last night, Chris in Epsom phoned us, and he was saying something important, and we wanted to hear more about it. I can't remember anything about it, but remind us, Chris, what was it again?
It was that bloody important, you've forgotten already.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happens. Really important stuff. I forget it.
think it was
It's a
after I
defence
left.
mechanism.
Actually, a couple of quick things before we get on to that.
Yeah.
Peter, you remember a few weeks ago we were talking about the indefinite leave to remain.
Yes.
And what the costs were going to be.
Yeah.
And they've come up with that today. The other thing is, now Kevin was very clever. He spotted something I
Don't
didn't.
tell him. Don't tell him that.
He said Reeves came out and there's budgeted 1.5 billion for the next 3 years for illegal immigrants and housing and whatever. How comes that? They're spending 15 billion this year, so they're going to cut it by. The figures are nonsense, and I can tell you for a fact because I had a tech company. All right, they put 1.8 billion for a digital ID. All right, it will cost over 2 billion just for the data centres that can handle it, and they draw so much energy, we have got no chance of feeding them things.
I have been banging on about this point about data centres and the need for cheap energy for a long time.
And the AI apparently
And
sucks
AI,
up so much
it's
energy.
so important that we get the cost of energy down because, you know, we saw that yesterday there was a story about Hinkley Point adding £1 billion onto people's bills. That's only because of how expensive it is to build things here. You know, we've got to start bringing down
We
the
don't
costs.
even own it. It's Chinese and French, isn't
French,
it?
yeah, most of our money's going to the French. Yeah, isn't that funny how we just keep giving money to France?
And they get cheap bills because they're paid for
It's
by
ridiculous.
us.
But no, Chris, you bang on about this point about the data centres because it's the future and we're not prepared for it. We're just not prepared.
I know, listen, the other thing is, right, the DAX power plant, right, burns £6.5 million worth, 6.5 million tonnes of wood chips.
I've seen that. Every day the train goes with the wood chips.
Yeah.
And we bring them in from America.
How's that good for the environment, burning wood?
It's not. It's the worst. It gives off the worst. It's like...
Chris, these people chop down most of the rainforest to build a runway for their private jets. Let's be
and
real.
the road
they
for
don't
the
care.
COP30.
Yeah, and they don't
They
care
chop
about
down
this stuff. They
pristine
just
virgin
don't care.
rainforest full of, like, you know, orangutans. They said, never mind that. We've got to get our stakes down 40 miles in the Amazonian basin.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because let's be real. These people, they try to find sense in net zero is impossible. It's impossible because it doesn't make any sense. It's about making them feel better.
It would, Peter, it would make sense if they spoke the truth.
Oh, well.
But then net zero wouldn't really exist. I think a lot of that is made up.
Hang on a sec. Hold on. Now,
Sorry.
Millipede, right? Brain dead Millipede has just given subsidies to build a new massive wind farm offshore in Scotland, right? They can't even take the electricity we can produce in Scotland down because we haven't got the infrastructure.
The infrastructure, my lord, thank you for saying that. It's infuriating because they keep banging on about wind and everything, but we haven't got the infrastructure to even store the energy or bring it into the grid because the grid would just collapse. This is the point: is we haven't done the kind of we haven't fixed the foundations, to borrow Keir Starmer's phrase. You know, and this is what we should have. This is what we should have been doing about 20 years ago, if not further back.
But the trouble is, we've got these quangos and the Climate Change Committee. They just decide, and a lot of them have, you know, their own interests. So I mean, it's all.
What about the other one?
What's the other one, man?
The other one.
What's
that? We need gas and oil. Now, we could drill it ourselves off the North Sea, but instead of that, we let Norway drill it off the same field, and then we pay them.
We pay them, and it costs us more. Yeah,
and Miliband poured concrete down the fracking pipes to stop any future governments, which is just disgusting.
Yeah.
Fracking.
Yeah, just be careful how we say that.
Miliband.
No, but honestly...
You know what? I mean, I'm 64 years old.
Happy birthday.
I've had a great life, great businesses, ex-special forces. I'm at home looking after my mum now, who's very close to the end. And once she's gone, all right, never mind the 20-year-olds going, I'm out of here.
Where are you going to go, Chris?
And can we all come?
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome for a holiday.
Oh, just a holiday, right? Okay.
As a special forces man, have you thought about if everything goes belly up in this country, where have you worked out where you're going to hide in the forest in your, special forces training?
No, I'm going to go down the local TA unit, show my old Mod 90, draw a weapon, and go to war.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll see you down there, Chris. I'll be there myself. Right, let's talk to your mate, who's entrepreneur and author, and we're talking about 110,000 young people, the brains of this country, or what's left of it, leaving to police Starmer's high-tax Britain and no future Britain. And also, I saw they were scared of violence, stabbings and things, because kids these days, there's a lot of it going on. Hi, Lekan, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Good
evening.
Good evening, Lekan. How you doing? You okay?
I am really well.
Good.
So what's your thing? Your stake in this? Have you written about this? Is this?
Yeah. So in my book, I talk about it's called Trauma to Triumph, and I talk about how a person can transform where they are today to go where they want to go. Because I think the challenge a lot of young people have at the moment is that they have been sold a dream that's never going to come true. So now,
and they realise it now, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's every policy that gets made this year, it's just affecting people's mental state. Because if you imagine, I leave university, I've gone through the path of education or whatever your pathway was to your first job, and then only to be told that the pension pot that your parents enjoyed, you're not going to be able to probably enjoy the same benefits. And then even if you want to now, if you have the opportunity to actually get on the property ladder, the amount of effort it's going to take and time is just unfathomable.
Well, it's sort of, you can't imagine, you think you won't actually make it, which is why people are thinking, well, that, if they had a chance of that, they might stay, but they're thinking, I haven't even got a chance of getting £400,000 or whatever. I was
going to say, for me, it's always that idea of just, if you're ambitious and you want to kind of build something or, lay down roots, why would you do it here? Because the people in charge don't like you. And that's how it feels for most people.
Well, they're against you.
Yeah, they just see you as nothing but a piggy bank for an older generation or to pave their own kind of frivolous ideas. But I'm going to say, the mansion tax, it's always marketed as this big one to really go after like the super rich and stuff. But it's not that anymore, is it? I'm going to say, because I know you get property as well.
£2 million they're going to start charging it, which is...
Yeah, because when I speak to colleagues and associates, we discuss it all the time, and, I own a home over £1 million, and I'm just... we're all conscious of, it's not a lot of money now, but it's just another chink and another dig to now say, well, you've done well for yourself, but we need to now take something for your hard work. But then in the same vein, they've now reduced the rule, they've now scrapped the rule for the two-child policy, which suggests that the money's, when I worked it out, it's almost like, well, some people are getting an extra $5,000 a year.
Yeah.
Well, there's a woman with 4 kids going to be on the equivalent of $100,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not sustainable. Why would you want to work for $30,000 and not be able to have kids with your wife, who's probably on $30,000, and then there's a couple down the road with no job, pumping out kids and making money each time?
Yeah, and the incentives are just drying up. So if you imagine, if you're starting, if you're trying to build, if you're just trying to have a corporate career and then ascend to, having a mortgage-free property and maybe having a second home abroad, every year it's just going to be diminished because the corporate companies also are not hiring as they once were, and then there's like an overload of professionals now seeking jobs and careers outside of what their discipline is.
And of course you've got the AI thing coming very soon. It's already that's going to go quick. What's your story anyway, Lacan? Do you still live in this country or have you fled?
Yes, I'm based in Cambridge.
Are you in computers? And I know there's a lot of computer stuff in Cambridge.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so I work in tech. So I work with different organisations, supporting them to deliver new IT software or implement new networking capabilities. And what I found as well is because I get to see things from the other side. So when a budget is approved by the government and some of these actual projects are implemented, the amount of wastage and the money that's going there as well, I'm seeing how, as much as you can say the investment's coming in, the real value doesn't always get captured because of the people that are actually managing it.
Because you've got the old street roundabout, haven't you? That was sort of the Silicon roundabout. And Cambridge, I know, it's where Sinclair and Acorn and all the old computer
I was going to say, for a really long
genii
time,
were
a really long time, that kind of corridor was kind of got to be the new Silicon Valley of the UK, wasn't
they've
it?
messed it up,
They've
haven't
just
they, like you
completely
said?
messed it up. Absolutely ridiculous.
Because we already have the best minds. I mean, the computer was invented by Babbage, and Ada Lovelace did the software. Who was Byron's daughter, actually, interestingly. And sort of it came from it, and then Turing, of course, and it was developed from here. And loads of things that are developed in this country get basically taken over by America, and they know what to do with it. Why are we so bad at that?
But I think it's two things. There's the fact that we're bad at it, but then also it's also only preserved for a particular group of people. So what you'll find is that Cambridge is a fantastic corridor of innovation, but only if you have access to that network.
Yes.
So for example, there are billions that is going into startups in Cambridge every year, but then how that fizzles out to the wider population of entrepreneurs, unless you have access, you don't really see that how that can actually. And what will normally happen is, if that company does well, it will probably be acquired by a private equity firm or from an entity, and the realization of having 10,000 employees in the UK from that business, we won't see them. That's why you don't hear in the news about large tech companies coming out of the UK.
So look, we only got 30 seconds. Are you going to leave the country? Or are you staying in your £1 million house, which isn't that big in Cambridge?
I was going to say.
You're selling your book.
I'm definitely weighing up my options and
because you can sell a book, you can be anywhere, can't you?
Yeah.
Well, I need to sell a bit more books.
Yeah, just a few more. I'm going to say, I do highly recommend the book.
I've got to pay tax first before I get the money from the book.
Don't we all? But no, I do highly recommend the book. It's Trauma to Triumph. It's a really, really good read. I have read it myself, and I definitely would pick up a copy.
My book's called Triumph to Trauma, and it'll be out next February. It's me and Pete on...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, look, it's me and Pete. Andre's away. He's just prancing around Morocco on the Marrakesh Express, so it's just me and Pete tonight. But anyway, it's that time on a Friday night again when we reminisce about the Great Whale and we play a bit of one of the great interviews. They seem to be all about kicking people out of the studio, which is a great thing. I didn't realise we did it so much.
Yeah, I never got to work with Whaley in the studio.
You never managed to get thrown out, did
it's
you?
always annoyed me that, actually.
A lot of people did want to get thrown out or cut off.
No,
He
it's
didn't
true.
hate you enough.
I was going to say, he didn't hate me enough. But also,
Yeah.
when we did actually work together, he thought I was much older than I was. He started talking to me about how terrible young people in the government were, and I was like, how old do you think I am?
Yeah, because he looked quite old. You know, when he was 16, he was already bald.
Oh.
Yeah, not like he was though, but yeah. So you know, he probably felt a kinship with you. But this interview, he's clashing with a pro-Palestinian protester, or pro-Hamas normally, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's American Bryce Green, and take a look at this. It was quite feisty. Have a look.
Bryce Green organised the Indiana University protests against Israel and has been arrested for his activism. Bryce, I suppose that you're out of prison or didn't go to prison at the moment.
I did not go to prison, and all charges were dropped. The county prosecutor described the charges as constitutionally dubious.
Yeah. Why are you wearing that scarf around your neck, by the way?
It's a symbol of support for the Palestinian liberation movement.
Really? What is the Palestinian liberation movement? Are they not Hamas?
Hamas is part of the resistance to Israel's occupation and is folded into a broader struggle against Zionism and colonialism.
Yeah. Oh, so, okay, colonialism. What is colonialism exactly?
In this case, you have Israel, which is supported by many colonial powers at the time, was founded in 1948 as an extension of British imperialism and U.S. imperialism.
But they're the indigenous people. The colonisers were the people that kicked the Jews out of their indigenous land.
Will you do me a favour while we carry this out? Because I don't approve of you wearing what is support for a terrorist organisation. Could you take the scarf off?
I will not take the scarf off.
Why not?
It's actually a British Army uniform, you know. That's.
If you have a problem with the scarf, then you can kick me off the interview. But if this interview will continue, I will be wearing it.
Yeah. Well, you're not. You know, the fact is that you are one of the reasons why the problems in Gaza are still going on, because you're giving the terrorist organisation there the idea that they have got lots and lots of support. You might have a few stupid
people who are more responsible
at
for
university
in Gaza.
Oh yeah,
are
go on.
People who are sending weapons to Gaza. The 2,000-pound bombs that were halted and replaced with 500-pound bombs that are being used to kill civilians. I think the people sending those weapons are more responsible for what's going on in Gaza.
You obviously then you're a supporter of genocide. You think that the Hamas are a bunch of
resistance
fighters.
Is rape resistance then? In
They are very obviously resisting a genocide.
Do you deny the rapes happened? Do you say they didn't happen?
I mean, it's very obvious that Israel lied about the mass rape.
Oh, no, it's all right. Say no more. I know where you're coming from, mate. We know where you're a denier. You're a denier.
If you are able to read, and I don't know if that's the case, there was an excellent article published in Middle East Monitor.
I know you think you're very clever, but you sit there like a complete and utter stupid fool.
You look like an idiot.
Wearing a piece of clothing. Why don't you go and live in the Middle East if you're such a fan of the Middle East? Why don't you do that and do some use? Instead of sitting there talking complete and utter what we would use the word bollocks probably in this country.
Oh, it's bollocks, is it? Well, I could explain to you why it's a dumb question, or we could talk about serious issues.
Bye-bye.
Right, so he didn't actually get thrown out, did he? We just cut him off. But anyway, that is the great and lovely James Whale. We miss him a lot, but great to see him, and join us every Friday night at 11.
I like how you guys do that, actually.
It's nice,
it's
isn't
really
it?
Nice,
People love it.
Yeah, when I
they'll do it when I go as well. Then there'll be two portions.
They'll do it when I leave the building. Everybody thinks I live here.
The whole show will just be in memorial of all of us. Basically, a 2-hour show in a few years.
Wow.
But now we're going to be joined. We are joined by Ellie Hodges. Hi, Ellie, and you're a political commentator of the youth.
Yes,
of the youth. So this is why, we want to hear what's going on, because we're talking about, we're going through all the papers, but the first thing I wanted to talk about to you was about the brain drain, which is 110,000 people your age, 16 to 24, and you can't blame them really. What's the future? But why do you think, well, tell us about your friends and what you're thinking about doing and all about that.
I think it's a case of people feel like they'll work hard and they don't get the reward back, and it's as simple as that. We've created a culture where people feel like they work hard their whole life and they don't get anything back for it because they're just taxed on it. So can you blame people when they go to Dubai and places like that? I mean, personally, for me anyway, every time I've kind of met someone new from like politics, they've always said to me, why are you still here? Leave, you're young.
Yeah.
And I don't like that kind of like rhetoric
I'm
either.
with you on that, actually.
I feel like
You've
we
got
should
your
have...
family here as well, haven't you, and other things.
I feel like we should have such of a more optimistic view about it.
Yeah,
and
stick with your
people should
country,
say-
fight for your country.
Exactly.
But I do have to admit that the one thing I find quite funny is the government seem to think that it's very difficult to move abroad. Like, people won't go because it's really hard and there's a lot of paperwork. I'm like, have you seen the average tax return form these days? There's a lot of paperwork
Well, they want
to go
people.
in.
They want people, don't they?
Crazy.
Like Australia, and they want young, good people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, as I always bring up Milan as the example, but they will give you money to go. Not just kind of like, you know, there's the market for jobs and everything. They're going to give you
They'll
golden
set you
handshakes
up.
to leave.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I think...
And what about your friends? What are they leaving? Or?
Some of them are, yeah, but I think the majority of my friends are staying because they love their country, same as me, and they feel like they can't just leave it behind. That's why I wouldn't leave.
And are they, you know, because remember Starmer brought in the voting age to 16 thinking they're all going to be lefties, but is it true, the anecdotal evidence, that they're all switching to, you know, a bit going to the right, or are they still fools?
I think there's a split between young boys and young girls, definitely.
Yes, I've heard that.
Young boys are definitely more right-wing. And I don't know if it's because there's a more rebellious side and they're going against what schools and universities
I think that's
but
a big
also
one.
the girl...
The reform is now the anti-establishment vote. That actually, that's the kind of the attraction of them for the younger people. But just to pick up on your point, I do think the big one is actually that I think a lot of young people aren't voting with their kind of hearts anymore. They're voting with their wallets. You know, your generations are kind of what I call the hustlers. You've always had a side gig. You've always, you know, you're always looking for ways to make money. And then when the government comes along and says, "Oh, I'll take 40% of that, thank you very much," people are going, "Wait a minute, I don't think so."
Yeah, definitely. But I think that the reason there might be a bit of a split between young men and young women is because, as I said before, young men are a bit more rebellious, and also, as you said, it's the whole tax situation as well. But I think girls as well...
They're more caring, aren't they?
I was going to say that, but I was going to try and say that in a bit of a nice way.
But they're falling for it, aren't they? Because they
But I
say
think that
our
is
whole
true,
society's been feminised.
Yeah.
So blokes to try now have actually got to think like women to be, you know, get ahead in the workplace. So they're all being like that as well, and that's where the problems are at.
And also, I think because young people as well now, they're finding they don't have like a cause to kind of latch onto. So when they see they're taught in university or school, these kind of like pro-Palestine, for example, they're clinging onto it because they think it's something that they can kind of champion and fight for.
Because also, like in my day, you had gothics and this and mods and rock and all that. But kids don't have that now. They're all the so this is what they've got is pro-Palestine. This is all they've got to grasp onto.
Yeah, it's actually the clinging to an identity, you know, because I always say that society needs like a big bad, you know, like in Marvel movies and Bond, there's always a big Bond villain. They need something to attack.
Farage, isn't it?
Yeah,
now?
you know,
they try and make Farage.
Yeah, but I always feel that the people need something to latch onto, and that's why when people say woke is dead, no, it isn't. It's because people need a cause when they're younger to kind of get the feet wet in the real world, and you know, politics is an easy way to kind of do that, but. I have to admit, pick better causes.
Yeah, and I think all the young people I've spoke to as well, it's always either Reform or the Greens. No one's ever said to me, yeah, I'm going to vote Labour or Conservative.
The Uniparty sort of finished, isn't it? But the Greens, I mean, you've got the guy, wasn't it the deputy leader who, when he won his council seat, was like, Allah Akbar, I mean, what's going on there?
But
the Islam left.
The youth vote has just evaporated for the Labour Party. Absolutely evaporated. Like you say, I look at most of the polling pretty much every day. The decline is not just noticeable, it's sharp.
Yeah.
It's really, really
But they know
sharp.
they're going to lose the next election, so they just don't care about what they're going to do now. They've got to look after themselves.
We talk about which party they're going to go to. I think the biggest problem facing young people and the country in general is just people aren't going to vote. People don't care anymore because why bother? You know, apathy, I think, is actually the reason they're going to keep Starmer in power, actually.
They don't do what they say, do they? You know, they constantly say they're going to cut migration.
To bring it back to the papers, you look at the front page of the Sun, you know, Chancellor of the Exchequer there, you know, why would anybody want to stay in a country where, you know, the people running it can just get up and lie to you? That's the point.
Yeah, that's a sore away, son. Chancellor of the Exchequer. Let's have a look at that. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has been accused of lying to voters in the build-up to a budget tax grab, you don't say. Tories demanded she resign for stating there is a huge black hole in the nation's finances, despite knowing it had been filled. Yesterday, it also emerged that benefit claimants have done much better than workers. under Labour. Well, obviously, I mean, they've had a big pay rise, your claimants, haven't they? And everyone else is sort of...
You're welcome.
Had the stealth taxes. I mean, what do you do? What do you do for work? Are you a political
Yeah, I
commentator?
kind of do stuff like this at the moment, but I'm still studying, so...
Yeah.
What are you studying? Right?
Yeah, politics and history. So,
Where's that?
Back home.
Very nice.
I was going to say
very
that,
nice.
but this is the thing also, for anybody with a student loan, I'd start to pay attention to that budget because, my lord, the interest rates is absolutely killer.
Yeah.
It's now 40 grand you
This
leave
is also
with the
another
debt,
thing
don't you?
where we talk about the brain drain. Why would you stay here when you're barely going to pay your student loan back? It's going to drag around with you for the majority of your life. Realistically, it is going to start affecting you a lot sooner, despite what they always say, oh, he's protected and all to you and this amount of money. But when you're being taxed to the hilt, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
But I do think it's the stealth taxes that are just driving people up the wall. She must walk out of her front door and go, tax it, tax it. Because there's no thought behind it, because they'll make a load of money now, well, a little bit, but next year people adapt their behaviour. So I don't really see where she's going with this. I don't think that there's a plan.
She doesn't know, does she? She's just got to try and cling on. She knows she's finished, though, doesn't she?
Oh, well, I don't think she does. This is the terrifying
I
thing.
think we have to give her credit to the fact
for
all
what?
she's gone through, and she's cried in the comments, and she's still stayed. I mean,
No, that's because she lacks self-awareness. That's the problem.
Do you think?
But should you? I mean, isn't?
I mean, I couldn't do that. I couldn't
isn't it bad?
humiliate
I mean-
myself in front of the whole nation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Then-
wasn't that a bad step for a woman to be crying? I know Julia Hartley-Brewer says she shouldn't have done that. It was very bad. What do you think about her crying?
I have mixed opinions on it. One half of me feels slightly sorry for her. The other half is, you're in a job where you just can't do that.
Yeah. I always
I mean, she goes on about being the first female.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And why did she go into the comments when she knew that she was going to be in that state?
That's such the good point, because she's not just a woman or a person. She's the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Yeah.
She's a figure in our market system. So that when she starts to shake or whatever, she's not very well. The markets react to
panic
it.
the markets.
Yeah,
didn't
exactly.
I think it was 30 billion was the guesstimated amount that we lost when she cried. I was like, how many?
That's
how many
about
pounds per
3
tier?
billion per tier.
That's what I was wondering. How much per tier was that?
Right, and on the Telegraph as well, but this is more detailed. Reeves on the brink over tax lies. She fights for a job after being accused of misleading public ahead of the budget. OBR told her there was no 30 billion black hole, making raid on workers unnecessary. She says that's not true. Badenoch calls for Chancellor to quit, accuses her of bribing MPs to save her skin. How long she got then, Pete? What do you reckon?
Oh, I think we're stuck with her. Well, at least till May, because that's when the leadership election will come, if they're going to have one.
And the council election.
Well, that's the thing. So we get through the council elections, which I think is the 9th of May or something like that, and then they'll lose in England, they'll lose Wales, they'll lose big chunks of Scotland, and then that's when the tipping point will come. But the problem is, as I keep making to people, who's got to take over? Which of the other lunatics do you want to run the asylum?
No-brainer, Rainer, Lammy,
Miliband.
I mean, what choices have we got, man?
Leave. I'm on the next plane. I'm going to put tea through.
Starmer and her are very close, though, and I think that if one of them goes down, they'll go down.
That's what they say.
Well, the old rule in politics is you can't fire your Chancellor because that's the person you put in charge.
Yeah, but
so if they're terrible, that means that
But
your
Boris
decision
did, didn't he?
Well, yeah, and look what happened to him. And then as is Liz Truss, and look what happened to her. In other words, you don't mess with your Chancellor, because that means that it's your trust you've put in a person to hold one of the most powerful positions of the country. And if they're terrible, look what happens.
Yeah, that's true.
03444991000. It's me and Pete. Andre's in Morocco, and we got Ellie Hodges, and we're going through all the papers. Give us a ring, and we'll be back in just a jiffy.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's me and Pete Barnes. What's your Twitter, Pete?
It's at PC Barnes 123.
And I'm at Virtual Ash, and we're here with Ellie Hodges. What's your Twitter or Instagram? Because the youth, they have different things.
Everything
Yeah,
now,
Instagram is probably my main
What's
one.
your-
But I am a Twitter person. My Instagram.
What's your MySpace?
My Instagram. My Instagram
Have you
just-
learned about MySpace in history at school?
Do you know? I
I
bet
don't
that's.
even know what MySpace is.
Do you know what's really sad? Is
terrible.
my very first mobile phone is actually in a museum now. But it's actually in the Smithsonian.
Is it? Yeah, well, I've got all my ones. You know, that's like a pension, isn't it? They'll
Yeah,
be worth
that
a
is your pension.
fortune.
We're gonna trade
What's
all
your
mobiles.
Instagram then?
My Instagram, I think it's just Ellie Hodges. I actually got banned on
What's your
Instagram.
TikTok? Do you do synchronised dancing on TikToks or anything?
No.
You've been
definitely not. I'm
banned?
not- No. Oh, off Instagram.
off
I've got it
TikTok,
back now,
Instagram.
finally.
What did you do?
But
What did you do?
I posted a picture of me
yeah.
and Nigel Farage, and I
that'll
got
do it.
banned for supporting dangerous individuals.
Unbelievable.
well,
By the way,
So,
there's a story in the Guardian. We were
Brilliant
talking
segue.
about. We need to hear more about that,
Yeah.
but let's just talk. We'll talk about it after this. We talk
Yes.
about Farage, and they were putting stuff in his face cream at the BBC allegedly. It was very unsavoury bodily fluids, and his skin looked radiant actually. But you want to focus on Farage must apologise over racism claims. Sadiq Khan has been saying. What's this all about?
I mean,
Ellie?
of course, Sadiq Khan is saying that. I mean, anything he can get to kind of get
Play the
some
racist
kind of,
card,
Yeah.
like he did with that reform lady.
Yeah.
She said, "What about the groom gangs?" He goes, "What does that mean?" I don't.
Oh, that
he was
was
trying to get her out to
Susan
say
Hall. That was awful.
Susan Hall.
Yeah, that was absolutely awful.
Yeah.
Tory,
I just think this is such a non-story.
Oh, yeah. It's a
What
distraction.
is the story then?
The story is that he said some unsavoury things when he was around 30.
Oh, the stuff at school when you're 13. Who
Yeah.
cares what you say when you're 13? You say lots of stupid
And
things.
also, why is it coming out, 50 years later?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Well, it came out. That's the suspicious
couple
thing. A
years
couple of years
ago,
ago.
yeah.
Now you bring it out now because it's obviously a
Yeah.
psyop sort
Yeah.
of thing, isn't it?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. They've held on to that for a little while.
It
haven't
shows
they?
they haven't got anything else, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Exactly,
This is the
absolutely.
thing. I'm known as the reform basher. I'm known as the bit of the
Yeah.
critic, and this is what annoys me: is that is such a stupid criticism. It's such a stupid way to actually try and take Nigel Farage out. There are genuine things you can hold up to reform and say, explain this, and yeah, they aren't doing it. It's so annoying.
yeah, I just think it's a non-story, but I mean, it probably gets the clicks, and that's the only reason.
Well, what's
they're
your
posting
story
it.
with Farage? So you just had your picture and they just said this is a nasty person under
Yeah,
TikTok rulings.
it was on Instagram actually.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Instagram, yeah.
Yes, my account, I opened it and it just said, "You're banned." I appealed it, just banned straight away, because apparently I'm supporting dangerous individuals.
Dangerous individuals.
Yeah.
So
You've
they
got
actually
people
think-
running around with actually, on these kind of hate
I mean,
marches.
some of
and,
the things you see on Instagram.
But he's
as
top
well,
of the polls to be
shocking.
the next Prime Minister, and they're saying
Yeah.
he's...
I mean, it's very convenient. You get banned a couple of days after.
I was going to say, yeah. But the sensitivity of these kind of the social media companies, the way that they do it all is
Yeah.
just rather crazy.
But it was good Twitter getting bought, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that changed Facebook and it changed things, but it still seems to have gone back.
Yeah.
No one ever mentions YouTube about in these
Yeah, I
cases,
think
do
they
they?
kind
What
of
is the
saw it.
situation with YouTube?
They kind of sorted themselves out a little bit, didn't they? Because they suddenly realised that a lot of right-wing people rather like
It's
using
changing
YouTube.
around.
They realised that there's a whole
Yeah.
market there compared to everybody else, but they'd rather play virtue signaling games and basically ruin their platforms. But
Yeah.
the funny thing about this kind of the apology and the racism one is, the Guardian and City kind of screaming for apologies, and yet they don't seem to care about what is actually going to be a pretty big story about this kind of the safety of right-wing people or people who sit on the centre right. We talked about Jo Brand earlier and her comments when it was the milkshaking and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. It's always just kind of, oh, it's fine because they're a right-winger, oh, it's fine because they're reform, they're a Tory or
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely.
I mean, I've been to more Tory conferences than is advisable, but every time you go, there is always somebody's hotel rooms get cancelled, or you're not welcome in certain places. They kind of storm restaurants. Yeah, I was going to say you're wandering into a very dangerous minefield.
This is the reason why I don't think woke is dead as well. Exactly all those reasons that you listed. Not being
Well, they're
allowed in
lashing
certain
out
hotel
now
rooms,
even
not
more.
being allowed in certain restaurants.
They're lashing out even more, aren't they? Because they know they're on. Like Pete said, people are more dangerous, like rats. In a sinking ship. They become.
definitely.
I think it's past its peak, but it's definitely still very
'cause
prominent.
it's funny as people say the woke is dead, and yet this week we're talking about drag queen story times. We've got kids back on puberty blockers.
Well, that's unbelievable,
Yeah,
isn't
there's
it?
that one, and then there's a couple of other stories. They're just
Well,
like,
cousin marriage is okay,
Yeah.
says the NHS.
Yeah, and it's the best of it's like the greatest hits of all the woke nonsense that we had to live through.
I know. Yep, absolutely.
The Times, the Britons call this maths geek. That's the new Carol Vorderman. Hospitality facing huge stealth tax after budget. Public also misled overhauling public finances. Rachel Reeves has been accused of delivering a budget of smoke and mirrors. Well, she had to, didn't she? After it emerged that thousands of pubs, hotels, shops and restaurants would be hit by crippling tax rises next year. Are they trying to shut down hospitality? What do you think?
I mean, they're just being hammered at every single corner.
After COVID, they banned smoking. They tried to ban anyone talking to each other, didn't they?
Yeah, the national insurance tax, rising energy prices.
The workers' rights they try to bring in. I mean,
exactly.
People actually want to try and get a job. It's impossible for young people because the places where they would usually work, statistically, it's always hospitality or retail. But there's no shops anymore because the high street's dead and you're killing off the pubs and the restaurants.
And minimum wage increasing as well. As soon as you talk about minimum wage, everyone goes, oh, no.
Yes.
No, you cannot have that conversation.
Oh.
But would you rather there be 10 people, young people working in a pub, for example, or none because they can't afford to pay young people?
Well, the reality is there's not going to be a pub. That's
exactly.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, you're so right.
It's a conversation that should be had, at least.
Do you think they're doing it for a reason, for the corporate reason? Get rid of the small businessman,
you say
small
that,
man.
but most of the big corporate chains in hospitality, they're the ones that they're on the rocks because what they did when the times were good for them, they bought loads of pubs, and then they suddenly realised, we can't afford the rent on them, let alone to actually operate them. Because I don't know about you, Ellie, but I always notice you can't get everything's shut on a Monday or a Tuesday. Yeah. Everything is closed.
You're down the pub, aren't you, first thing, and you can't get a pint.
I've got pints when I go home.
Right, FT weekend. Homers rush to avoid mansion tax. Prices clipped to just below threshold. Scramble will hit stamp duty receipts. A rush by wealthy homeowners to price properties in England just under the new mansion tax threshold is set to hit stamp duty receipts. But I've heard they're going to fly a drone over anyway. It won't be what it's sold for. They'll decide, like when they did the council tax bans in the 80s or whatever.
Yeah,
they'll fly a drone over and they go, look, that's nice. That's worth a couple of million at least. And then you're trapped in the another, $2.5-3 grand a year.
Yeah, let's be real. That's nothing but mass surveillance, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
The government is going to fly a drone over your house to see how big it is.
Do you ever think you're going to be able to buy a flat or anything? Or
it doesn't even cross my mind.
It's now so in your generation, they don't even think that they're going to be able to do that.
No, I mean you have to be earning a very, very good income to be able to.
You'd have to be a couple, really, wouldn't you, to have any chance?
Yeah.
That's the big one. And I tell you, if you're not in a relationship or with somebody to buy a house, I actually know a couple of groups of friends actually who bought houses together.
Yeah, that's the only way.
It's the only way to do it. Just to get on the property ladder in some form. They're not couples or anything, but they put the money together just to get on the ladder.
Yeah.
And just build a wall in the front room, like
just a big pillow
with a little gap in it. Reeves accused of exaggerating gloom when she knew forecasts had picked up. Rachel Reeves has been accused of misleading the public after it emerged and she knew the outlook for the government's finances had improved well before giving a gloomy pre-budget speech. So she tried to make it look like she was turning it around and doing something amazing. Zelensky weakened as top aide quits after anti-corruption raid.
This is a big story.
Zelensky's powerful chief of staff, Andrei Yermak, resigned yesterday after anti-corruption officials raided his residence and offices. Is he like a corrupt dictator? I mean, they're all corrupt apparently in these places, and apparently Ukraine's even worse.
I have to admit, there is a lot of questions for the Zelensky government to answer, but at the end of the day, they're not the ones that invaded another country and have had a mass industrial, killing machine, which is...
But isn't it just basically mafias in both countries, and Russia is saying, we're going to take over yours, and you're not going to... And they've just made it a national issue and said, they're going against, Ukrainians. But actually, it's just very rich people fighting over the rich mineral and agricultural
The interesting thing is that with this individual, he's been with Zelensky before he became president, and it's the fact that, we've got these deals on the table and, all this kind of stuff. But I was going to say, not to keep bringing up back to a generational thing, but does your generation even care about this issue anymore? Because
they're the ones that are going to have to go join the army.
Yeah.
Good luck. I think the whole Gaza-Israel thing just has completely taken
dominated,
over. Why aren't people interested in this at at my age.
Yeah.
Why aren't they? Because they're not being fed it all the time.
Yeah, it's whatever's in the kind of the instant kind of.
It's also got
thing.
to a point where it's just been going on so long, people just
it's
lose
a bit
interest.
complex, isn't it? It's like, trying to pick a side for most people on this issue. I think it's pretty simple, but there's no kind of goodies.
But what
and
side
baddies.
would you pick? Ukrainian
Oh,
side? I
Ukraine
mean,
all the
obviously,
way.
but I mean, how can you fight the war machine of Russia? I mean,
the trick that they've actually got to do is actually to try and break the machine from the inside. In other words, the Russian economy is so linked to war that if it stops the war, then there's going to be no Russian economy. And if you think Putin's bad, trust me, what's coming next is even worse.
But Trump's trying to sort the peace out, and all the European lefties are trying to ratchet up for war, which is totally gone the opposite of what it's normally.
My thing with Trump is he doesn't understand what a deal for peace actually is. He just thinks if everybody stops fighting, that's peace. He's not quite worked out that you need to make sure that there's not going to be another one. And that's the bit where he's not quite got in the room where once Europe is actually right on something, and I do apologise for saying that. Europe got something right.
Unbelievable, Pete.
I know, I'm so sorry. I'll see myself out.
The Daily Mirror, £5 when you spend £25 at Dobby's, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Strictly Amber, I can't believe my luck. Who is she? No one knows. Ruth, my hell after Eamon love split. Ruth Langford has opened up about the dark days after a split with Eamon, our mate, formerly of this parish. The TV host, 65, stepped back from loose women for a time following last year's separation and saw a counsellor as her ex quickly moved on with a new love. But mum of one, Ruth, says she now sees light in the future, adding, the next chapter feels exciting. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
That's the story there. We've got a little break at this juncture. Yeah, we're going to take a break. We've got Ellie Hodges, political commentator, and we're going to go through the papers. You can give us a ring, 03444 199 1000. By the way, Michelle, you said you'd sent a voice message. We haven't got it. If you want to send a voice message, 03444 199 1000 on WhatsApp. But we'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk. It's me and Pete, and Ellie's here as well. She's political commentator, Ellie Hodges, and we're going through the papers. Let's look at the Daily Mail. Free glossy 2026 Royal Calendar, photoshopped by Kate. So you got one arm over there. One. No, I'm joking. I'm sure it's been very professionally done. Liar. Reeves must go now. She knew there was no black hole in public finances, but kept that secret to hike taxes. It's all building up. It's all on the front pages, Pete. Is it going to have an effect on anything?
It should do, but it won't, because again, we're relying on people to have this thing called self-awareness, and I think it should be studied for medical science. There is such a shortage of it in this country, particularly in Westminster, that that all of this stuff. I mean, the woman openly lies all the time. She lied on her CV. She lied that she wrote a book that wasn't
chess
true.
champion,
and
she was
all of this stuff is a
29.
lie. So why is these headlines should have brought down the government? The government shouldn't stand as it is right now. We had so many scandals, yet our standards in public life are so low now that it doesn't matter. And I find that terrifying.
What do you think about that? Standards, basically. I mean, you've never known any other standards, really, so you don't...
I mean...
We used to have standards in this country, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, I don't think she'll go over this. There's been so many scandals already, and I don't actually think, as you said, there's so little self-awareness that... You know, if I cried in the comments, I would have probably resigned after that moment. But she didn't, so I don't think she'll resign.
Because that's the thing, everyone keeps buying up for this kind of leadership and all the rest of it. But that budget was to get them through to the locals. And then the locals will be, oh, well, the budget hasn't quite kicked in yet. We're not fixed the foundations. They just keep kicking the can and kicking the can. But, I mean, I'm not being funny, but I think we've run out of road.
Yeah, I mean...
They got 3.5 years,
Has she actually responded to this yet?
No.
Not that I'm aware of, but that's a very good question.
But Badenoch will pick up on all this, won't it? I mean, Wednesday's going to be good.
I have to admit, Wednesday's going to be ferocious.
Because she's on form, isn't she, at the moment? She's very match fit.
I mean, Badenoch and Stride have both come out saying that, you know, they think that she should resign over this.
What do you think of Badenoch?
I think she was fabulous at the budget.
And what's your, you know, when you vote, I suppose it's for Reform or Tories for you, so what are you thinking, or are you split?
I think it would be Reform for me.
Reform, yeah.
Why is that? Because they've just blown it, haven't they, the Tories? I mean, they caused permanent damage to this country, haven't they? And sort of, I think they're finished. They're the longest worldwide party ever existed. Do you think it's over? Pete's left.
Yeah, even I wasn't once...
Rats leaving a sinking
I was
ship.
One of those people that, you know...
That was the final straw for Pete.
No, I was one of those people that used to go around the country, look at the last Tory standing. You know, I got a great exhibition.
We had the tallest Tory in the world here.
Yeah, he was very tall.
I've seen him.
Yeah, his head on the line.
How tall actually is he?
7'2", he said, but I think it was more, actually.
I think he was taller.
You know, most blokes had a couple of inches on it. I think he actually takes a couple off.
Yeah.
Because he was that tall.
But, no, I have to admit that... when it comes to kind of Rachel Reeves and whether she's going to go, I could keep going back to this point. Which lunatic is going to take over? Because Ed Miliband is favourite to become Prime Minister, so I'd rather stick with Keir Starmer.
How can that
sounds a ridiculous statement.
That just shows how unaware they are that they think he'd be good. I mean,
but this is the thing people have to remember. It's not like when the Tories kind of depose a leader, we kick one out the window like it's Tuesday. But it's like... The system is designed so that members actually have the final say.
It's
much
a very
more.
complex system.
It really the unions that ruined it, though, didn't it? When Miliband, brought the unions in and he beat his brother.
Yeah, well, they said he stabbed his brother in the back. No, he didn't. He stabbed him in the front, looking him in the eye. That was not a stabbing in the back situation. That was brutal.
It might have been. I think he was more prime ministerial, wasn't he? Well, Dave Miliband.
Yeah, again, it wasn't a high bar. If we're being honest,
no, it wasn't
after the bacon sandwich, although Ed, the other David, had eaten a banana situation, didn't
you? Do you know who made that bacon sandwich?
Christo Fufas's father.
Christo's dad. Hello, how are you? He made the bacon sandwich. And the other story in the Daily Mail is I'm the real Mo Farah, and there's some little kid who's saying he's the real Mo Farah. We should be celebrating him and not the other one. This kid is the Mo Farah. And read the astonishing story, watch on YouTube and listen to the new podcast. Mo Farah isn't Mo Farah, it's this kid, so we should all be celebrating him, never mind the one who goes around taking all the glory. Anyway,
how on earth that has made it to the front page?
I know, this is, I would love to be in a newsroom when these things get together. I know we're in one right now, but I'd like that. Like, considering everything.
I mean, what a selection.
Mo Farah's today's news, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, Daily Express again, £5 off when you spend £25 at Dobby's, whatever.
Well, I was saying, because
you
it's
get
Black Friday.
Both papers, you can spend 50
It's Black
quid.
Friday today, isn't it?
It's Black Friday for like a month.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah.
Friday of Colour.
Friday of Colour. I do apologise. I'll see myself to HR.
And a bumper 10 pages of puzzle fun inside today. People still doing puzzles. That's for the. Do
you know what I miss? Do you know those videos in America where they used to go mental in like Costco or Black Friday, and some idiots.
Oh yeah, and they're all running in.
Yeah, but they always used to film it vertically. I was like, put it sideways. we want to see the nonsense of the.
Now people moan when you do it sideways.
Yeah,
the world's gone crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Daily Express 2.2 million pensioners to lose winter fuel help. They hate pensioners more than even farmers.
Yeah.
An extra 200,000 pensioners are set to lose winter fuel payments under the cruel Labour plans unveiled. I mean, that's the word for them, isn't it? Cruel and lying. And Kev is gutted. Kev was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the free TV.
Oh God, yeah. Wait, let me hear the end of that. But the funny thing, if you look at the front cover of the Express, you don't find it funny that they're talking about pensioners losing the something to feel as. And Esther Ransom wanting more done on assisted dying.
And
it's
she,
not a
she
particularly
looks
jolly
well,
cover.
doesn't she? She looks, I mean, for someone who's... But she is obviously very ill.
She's very
My
ill,
plea
yeah.
for right to die law as soon as possible so everybody has a choice. But my view on this is once you open the door, we've seen in Belgium and Canada, there was a guy in Canada who had no money and he was allowed to kill himself because he'd run out of money. And there was a girl in Belgium, like about your age, who was depressed and they should never, and they let her kill herself. And what's
It's
your
disgusting.
views on this?
I think it's disgusting.
What about life? They
I
don't
think
care
it's really
about
bad.
life.
And they introduced, I mean, in the press, they started talking about this on the same week that the abortion bill was going through as well.
Yes.
And it felt like it was just a week of death.
It really did, didn't
Like, the
it?
tone
They're
was
like the
just
party of death, aren't
Yeah.
they?
They
Yeah.
used to say that the state could look after you cradle to grave. I was like, well, it's not supposed to usher it along faster, is it?
But this is very communist, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
get rid of the people, the family
Yeah, I'm just
unit.
very, very uncomfortable with it. And it's always going to be abused as well, which is extremely scary.
116123 is a Samaritans for anyone there who needs a bit of to talk to someone. 116123. Right, we're going to take a little break. There's the sun again, just in case you missed it. Saw Ray Sun, Chancellor of the Exchequer. She's in a lot of trouble, but they don't care, do they? 03444991000. It's Talk. It's Pete and Ash, and we're with Ellie Hodges, political commentator. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk. It's me and Pete. We've got Ellie Hodges. We're going through the papers. 03444991000. The Independent. Reeves misled the public over fake fiscal black hole. Chancellor, well, we know all about it, what's going on. But let's go to the callers. Let's go to Paul in Swansea. All right, Paul.
Not too bad.
I've got a paper cut out.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Paul. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
Stop immigration by recording. What does that mean?
Recording.
The data. What, their retina scan and DNA and everything, you mean?
No, record the lawyers.
Record the lawyers?
Lawyers advising.
Oh, right, yeah.
Advising illegal
But
immigrants.
you're not allowed to do that, are you? Client privilege. But also, they'll be doing it legally. They know all the loopholes.
This is the thing, isn't it? Is that actually the gangs now, for want of, the people smugglers, are giving up bits of paper telling you how to actually get round the rules. I was like, could someone give them to the Home Office, and then maybe we could tighten up the rules if we, because this is the thing. We keep saying it's all some kind of big conspiracy. It's not, because it's
Is
just
it
really
the gangs
easy.
though? Because I saw these guys, British guys, who were cutting boats up, and they were brand new motors and brand new boats, and they said the French police are actually coaching people in, and we're giving the life jackets back, and it seems like there's a governmental involvement.
This
with
is
the
because
gangs.
fundamentally, why would the French want to stop any of this? They don't want the migrants. We don't want the migrants, and yet they're leaving France to come here. So we could give them all the money in the world. But yeah, I was going to say, Ellie, with the migrant crisis, what's your thoughts? Come on, because we can't keep giving money to the French, can we? I know we're England. We can't give money to the French.
We got
Absolutely. I mean, exactly as you just said, why would the French want to help us realistically?
Yeah. What do young people think about people on these boats? Are they scared? Because there was a lot of reports. They're not just leaving because of financial reasons. They're leaving because they're worried about violence and getting stabbed.
I think people that actually live in communities where they are affected by it every single day will have very strong opinions towards this, but people that are living in the countryside
in the
that
bubble.
have absolutely no idea
But
what's
it's coming
really
to
going
them.
on
That's the point,
will
isn't
then
it?
preach their kind of middle class views.
What about walking
that we should
around-
take everyone in because it doesn't actually affect them.
What about being a young blonde lady? I mean, Alex says even having blonde hair is even more of an attraction. Do you get a lot of hassle?
Oh, yeah. I
So
mean,
you can't really go out on your own at night.
No. I mean, I drove through Whitechapel on the way here, and wow, if I got out of that car, I would have been petrified.
I was actually down. Why would you be petrified?
I mean, it was only men there.
Yeah,
Only men.
yeah.
It looked like women were not allowed out in
Well, they are.
Whitechapel.
Have you had
That's what
any
it
trouble
looked
though?
like.
Have you seen?
I mean, there's been a couple of situations where I feel uncomfortable, but because I'm aware of this, I think I'm much more safe because I actually keep myself safe because I know about all of these issues. But for young women my age that, don't really care about this stuff, they could definitely be subject to kind of violence and abuse without realising and going to certain areas that I would consider no-go zones.
Isn't it? It's the fact that these people shouldn't be here, that they broke into the country and they shouldn't be here. And it's infuriating, to see it all the time.
I was down Brick Lane the other day, and I went into one of those Indian cake shops. They have all the green and the crazy cakes, very sweet, and we went delicious actually. But then I was sitting down, and someone come and goes, "You're on the telly, aren't you?" And I was with a lot of, there was a lot of people who might not have liked me. But he said, "Well, where do I know you from? Where do I know?" And I went, "Oh yeah, James Whale. Yeah, James." I didn't mention what. I think I luckily got away, but it's a bit worrying, Some a whole group of people go, "Oh look, it's that bloke from the," it's a bit worrying. But very nice cakes.
Yeah.
Not good if you got diabetes. But anyway, we've got more on the big Mo Farah story, and that kid. This is actually an amazing story. I was joking when I said this kid is, but actually it turns out quite a crazy story. I'm the real Mo Farah, a boy who was left behind in poverty in Somalia when Olympics hero assumed his identity to come to Britain, speaks out in world-exclusive interview. Olympic fever from the London 2012 Games was sweeping through the bustling easterly neighbourhood of Nairobi that locals call Little Mogadishu. For the tens of thousands of Somali refugees who were living amid the chaotic din of street vendors, matatu, minibus taxis and tuk-tuks, there was one name on everyone's lips. Mo Farah, a runner originally from Somalia who, like them, had managed to escape the country's devastating civil war and who now, against all odds, was taken to the track for the Olympic 10,000. Anyway, given that the surname was not uncommon, Mohammed didn't give her this... Oh, let's have a look. The Somali carried the hopes and dreams of every Somali in Eastleigh, and there was one refugee who was particularly captivated because he shared the athlete's name, a 29-year-old also called Mohammed Farah. Given that their surname is not uncommon, Mohammed didn't give this coincidence a second thought. He was just happy to be distracted from his tough life, earning £2 a day packing boxes in Nairobi, where he effectively lived as an orphan after being gone. He had no notion that there were other, more startling coincidences between himself and the runner. No idea that not only had both he and Mo Farah been born in Mogadishu in 1983, but they also had their very same birthday. Getting a bit suspicious. Had smartphones and internet connectivity been as ubiquitous around the world back then, he might have discovered these facts, which had a critical bearing of his life. Basically, so he's basically saying Mo Farah stole this guy's identity. He says, "Come on, Mo, you can do it." Mohammed screamed as Farah crossed the line. A week later, Mohammed watched his namesake win a second gold. Anyway, in the course of following a investigation, year long, Mohammed tells his extraordinary story for the first time. So basically, he's saying he nicked his identity. Is that what he's saying?
Well, the sounds of it, I can't wait for the movie.
It's but the athlete's newfound fame inevitably resulted in scrutiny of his background, and it would become apparent that the fact Mo Farah shared a name, birthplace, and birthday with the gold medalist was far from a coincidence.
Well, they just said that his name was pretty common. So
yeah, well, let's have a look.
I mean, I'm quite happy for him to think he's.
Is there another Ellie Hodges? Are you? Rather, it emerged that the long-distance runner had unwittingly assumed Mo's identity when he was a little child, and 2 decades before the 2012 Olympics had flown. It was a dark and long-hidden secret in Mo's family, one that would explain why he remained trapped and alone in war-torn Horn of Africa, growing up in abject poverty.
There's a lot of jumps.
Should we take away? He's got like a knighthood. Should we take it away? He's got a twin brother as well.
Has he?
Yeah, an identical twin brother. He's a very good postman. The quickest postman in London.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I made that bit up.
I know,
He probably would be, wouldn't he?
But this is the thing, though, Ellie. Well, when these kind of stories come out, everybody screams, "Take the knighthood! Take the knighthood!" Where do we stand on taking knighthoods? Because we see it with Sadiq Khan. He's
I don't understand why he did it though. Mo Farah's real name is actually Hussein Abdi Kaheen.
I'm so happy for him to think he's Mo Farah, to be honest.
Yeah, the disturbing one is when people pretend to be like Madeleine McCann. Do you know, we always see those ones are a bit
that's horrendous, isn't it?
Yeah, that's very weird.
Yeah, because there was one just recently, wasn't there, where they kind of, I think they've got taken to court over pretending to be there and all that, these kind of things. But we always scream, like, just, take the knighthoods. We did it to Jimmy Savile. Well, the reality is when you die, you don't keep the sir when you're dead if you're a certain type of knight. But, this stuff, is it really a thing for you? Like the titles and all this honours? So we can really look at the Prince Andrew situation.
Yeah, I think...
Andy Battenberg, as he's now called.
I think with knighthoods now, they've kind of lost their value because so many of them seem to be given out all the time.
Like confetti.
Yeah,
There's a guy who worked here who's only 30-odd and he'd become Lord.
Who is that?
You know, Lord Ross Kempsell.
Oh, yeah.
He was our mate. We used to go out drinking, never heard from him since. Anyway, let's go to Janice in Essex. Janice!
Hiya, guys.
What's going on? This is Janice. You haven't got a ceiling, you've got no boiler working, you've got dancing rats on your bed. We've got Ellie here. Chat to Ellie, Janice. Janice.
Right, hi, guys. Can I give you a little story about my vet experience?
Your vet?
Yeah, no vet.
No vet?
Oh, do you want... no, I did ask you guys about doing manufacturing the planes anymore.
What are you talking about, Willis?
Oh, I'm going on.
What are you talking about, Janice?
Oh, right. Look, I did phone and I said to you guys, look, I went down a rabbit hole last week when I spoke to you.
Yeah.
About heavy stuff. I just would like to give you my little experience about my vet experience.
Go on, tell us about your vet experience. Is that because you couldn't afford a doctor?
No. Well, no.
So what were you doing down the vets? What were you doing down the vets?
I've got social workers. I've got bloody council people coming and fix me roof, trying to turn me boiler, trying to get me some heating, get me some lighting.
Have they fixed it though, Janice?
No.
No, they never do.
Oh, that's handy.
Nah, of course I haven't.
What about...
No, it started off we can give you £7,000 for the roof, then it got down to 6, then they kicked one person off. Then,
you haven't got £5,000 to be paying for a roof.
I was going to say also, who's
the council's roof?
But the price never goes down.
I own the place. You keep getting it wrong. I own this piece of crap.
Right, but anyway, you haven't told us about your vet experience.
Right, let me tell you about my vet, right? All the people out there that go to a vet. I took my poor little lion.
You've got a lion?
No, I was waiting for that.
You've got a lion in your flat?
No, he absolutely looks like a lion.
Right.
He's just miniature.
He's what?
It looks like I'm trying to lighten up because I went a bit heavy last week.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to lighten it up. So I took him in, but he didn't need to go in. I just thought he needs his little teeth sorted out, little teeth.
Lion's got a big teeth.
Doctor's appointment a few years ago with his little teeth because he bit me. So I went in, he's yelling his head off. He weighs 12 pounds, that's without the box, and I've got pleurisy right now, so it was a bit awkward. And he's yelling his head off. I went up
It's
there.
a cat, is it? It's a cat that's
He's
like
a cat.
a lion.
Yeah, he's a cat. No.
Well, have you got rats in your house? Have you got a cat? He's a useless cat because he's got no teeth.
Some kind of different version of Tom and Jerry.
Ellie, can you help Janice out?
No, he's actually got teeth right now.
He's got fleas, and you got pleurisy.
Right. Right, let me explain.
Yeah.
When
Let's
I
start
went
from the
in,
beginning,
right.
Janice. Let's start all, forget what was happening and start again, right?
All right, right. So I took him in. I just took him in to get a teeth check-up, right?
Yeah.
And he was having a little bit of overwashing, a bit of flea stuff. So I took him in, right. She looked at him and she's in good condition. Well, wouldn't he be? I'm looking after him. Anyway,
Well,
so she looked
probably
at
why I
him.
wouldn't be in good
She looked at his teeth. Oh, no, he's got a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of gingivitis.
Yeah.
Now, my friend looked it up. 250, 400 maximum, right? Right. So she looked at him, supported him about. She was lucky she didn't get bloody bitten. And
Did you show any feelings?
I walked out. She put a little bit of stuff in, a little injection in him, because he was a bit agitated with the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And she gave him one little pipette for flea stuff. That cost me 16 quid. Right. 56 quid to look at the back of her. All she asked me,
Not bad, is it?
is he eating? Is he eating? Oh, were you looking after him? Do you know what? I walked out of there, waited, walked out, and guess what? They gave me an estimate
What?
of what he needed. Well,
Why, hold on, I'm going on a guess.
Good,
No, go on, Karen.
good condition.
Yeah.
He's in good condition. He's a lovely boy.
Got any guesses?
He's great. 800 quid.
So what do you do? Put it down and buy a new one?
Oh, don't.
No,
He's
sorry,
my
no.
boy.
But I mean, did you? Because I mean,
please.
how old is he?
Oh, no.
What are you feeding him? The cat, the lion cat.
No, he asked me, what am I feeding him? And I said, I'm feeding him right. He's fine. He's brilliant. She said he's in good condition. He's 8 years old.
That's Janice in Essex. We'll be hearing more from Janice next week about her cat's teeth. Cat's teeth. Let's go to Hertfordshire Bob. Hi, Hertfordshire Bob.
How are you guys?
We've got Ellie here as well.
You're saying you're not having Andre here because you might be able to get a word in.
Do you know, I've been
My
working...
mate calls him Andre Talker.
Yes, that's such a good one. I've never been able to make a point in any show that I've ever worked with him. I get to the end of my just before the end, and then he just takes over.
By the way, my mate's mum called him yesterday and said that Trump has categorised the Brotherhood of Man as a terrorist group.
What, the band?
She got it. She got it mixed up with the Islamic Brotherhood. So the Brotherhood of Man have not been banned. Save Your Kisses for Me is still available. Sorry, Bob.
Go on, Bob.
Right, I've got 2 points to bring up. I see a document today, and it was a copy of a letter being sent out to Islington Council leaseholders, which I used to be before I sold up.
Yeah.
And they're offering to buy back the leases from leaseholders in Islington so they can give the housing back to Afghan nationals. Now, that is a document. I see it. It was printed on Facebook today.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, look at the Serco contract. 5 years, I'll pay all the...
Do you not remember those stories of the letters going out to people who had council houses saying, like, they were in disrepair and all the rest of trying to, like, scare people into kind of giving up their homes? Do you remember those? It was, it was just before the general election, I think it was.
So what do you think?
The other thing I wanted to ask you guys is this new what they brought out in the budget yesterday, that if you've got 6 kids, it's quite a substantial, or 4 to 6 kids.
It's a lot of money.
It's quite a substantial.
Well, you can be on 100 grand equivalent wage. Why would you want to go to work? You'll never earn that.
Well, how about if you're a Muslim with 4 wives? How's that work out? Explain.
You're going to be rich, aren't you?
I was going to say, yeah.
But that is true. I mean, are you allowed? I don't know if you're allowed. Are you not allowed?
No, you're not allowed.
Are you sure? I bet there's some they don't tell us about.
Give it chance. It will be allowed, because I've always thought one of the reasons that they sneakily wanted to get rid of jury trials was to actually bring in Sharia courts.
That was awful.
I think,
Didn't Abu Hamza? Didn't Abu Hamza have a few more than one wife?
Did he?
I don't know.
Well, where did he put the ring? He only had one.
I don't.
Sorry,
is that it, Bob? Any more you want to?
So what we're saying then, that child poverty doesn't affect Muslims with 6 kids, because they're not going to be in poverty, are they?
No, they'll be rich.
Well, the
we'll
problem
be the ones
is
in poverty.
with this entire argument is, what do you mean by poverty? That's the thing, because if you earn the minimum wage, I'm going to say, if you earn the minimum wage in this country, you're part of the top 3% globally. So poverty is a very relative thing.
What's your view, Ellie, on all this poverty and, giving houses to people who've just come here and people your age can't get a flat? And
yeah, well, obviously I completely disagree with it. And, like, the HMOs, for example, are just absolutely shocking. Like, I have friends where, they work from home, and there's been an HMO put opposite them, and they're just wandering about in the streets, so now they can't work from home.
And you've given up about owning a home, have you? You've not even thinking about it.
Oh, no.
I mean, that's terrible, isn't it? I mean, that's just so you sort of that's your hold to the country, isn't it? That, you know, if you've got no future, which is having your own property, you no wonder people are leaving. But you know, like you say, you've got family, you don't want to leave.
And then you wonder why your generation shifted to the left. It's because you can't be capitalists if you've got no capital.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
That's a very good point. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. Right, let's go. Janice, you're back. What's going on, Janice? Tell us about what happened at the vets then. Or whatever.
Look, forget about the vets. I love holding on. You guys let me hold on so I can listen to your programme.
That's right, because you haven't got a radio either, so we just leave you on the line.
No, I've got nothing. I've just got you guys. And I'm grateful that you let me hold on.
And that's Janice from Essex, and she'll be again with us throughout. We're just leaving her on the line. Yeah. So, Ellie, what you got going on? What do you do in the week? Do you work? You do your political commentary?
I'm at my sixth form.
Oh, you're in the sixth form, right? Yes, so, and what about your friends in the sixth form? Are they also? Do they see you as a sort of different to them? Because
I lose a friend by the day.
Oh, I call it sport.
Yeah, but you don't need those sort of friends. You don't need those friends. Why? Well, because of your politics.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So what you say something about Israel, Gaza? We say something about and it's, oh, you're racist, you're this, you're that.
Yeah, basically. I mean, a lot of them it's behind the back.
Do they teach you at school? Are the teachers activists? Is that what you say?
Some of them. I find it's more the assemblies that are delivered are very much pushing an agenda.
Oh, the assembly.
So I don't necessarily blame individual teachers. I blame the.
Does this come from above? They're told to do this in assemblies and stuff.
Yeah, so like the assemblies they're presented, they're usually on the curriculum and stuff as things that you should be doing.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Well, I don't know.
But I've heard some like horror stories.
Yeah. Did you see the story about why they want to get rid of British history from history lessons?
Racist.
Yeah. I was actually saying about this the other day. I think that we should there should be an assembly in every single school about why you should be proud to be British.
Yeah.
Just as simple as that. Just
and the
why
national
you should be
anthem,
proud.
people. What about national service? Do you think that would be a good thing? A lot of people saying it would be.
Yeah, I think it would be.
See, I go back on this point. I remember at the general election, everybody laughed at it when Rishi Sunak brought it out.
But he wasn't even saying going into the army either.
Yeah.
He was saying like go to an old people's home. And people were up in arms about it.
Honestly, I think it's because it came from a Tory at the time. If it had come from anybody else, we'd have the conversation about it now.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, thanks, Ellie. That was brilliant. Are you going to come in again and have a chat to us?
Yeah, I'd love to. It's been great fun.
Great.
Fantastic. Right, well, it's just going to be your calls after the news. 03444991000. We'll catch up with Janice in Essex throughout the hour just to check on a lion-like cat. And Stephen, Laurie, Matt, Paul and Dawn. It's me and Pete at Pete Barnes. What is it?
PC Barnes 123.
And that virtual Ash. Back in.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, man, it's me, Ash Gould, there, it says it there, and Pete Barnes, and it's just about your calls now, and so that's what we're going to do. We're just whatever you want to talk about. 0344 499 1000, and that's the same number if you want to send up a WhatsApp audio message of about a minute, and you know, it'll sound good if you're a bit scared to come on live, because you know we're very scary.
We're terrifying, aren't we?
Yeah, but so it texts us. We got three lions, but we've got Janice, of course, Laurie, Keith, Paul, Dawn, Matt, and now we got John in West Lothian, not West Lothian. All right, John.
Yes.
What's
Good
up,
morning
man?
to you.
Morning.
Yeah, I would like to talk about this nonsense that the government has just announced.
Yeah.
That they're prepared to give beta blockers to children. Which
You mean puberty blockers?
Well, puberty blockers.
Yeah,
sorry, which I consider to be child abuse.
Well, they're experimenting on them as well. I mean, he's using them as human guinea pigs. It's like Frankenstein. This can ruin people's lives. We've already seen people it's happened to who are now suing them. It's disgusting, isn't it? Because I think it was Orwell said it. Stupid things are believed by intellectual people because they talk themselves into it, and they think, well, we know more about gender than you don't know anything about it. But it's obvious you don't start chopping off bits of people and adding hormones and go, oh, now he's a different sex.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I always say that the trans issue is never really going to go away, because there's a lot of parents who are going to have to look at themselves and realise what they allowed to happen to their children and what they encourage their children to go into. I think that's the reason it's never going away.
That's the thing, and they're told to, support their kids.
Yeah.
And I heard a person who'd gone through it, and she said she was actually very hurt that her parents and the people who cared about her most didn't tell her not to do it. So, think about that, parents, before you run out and support whatever.
If you look at Canada as an example, that if you don't support your kids' new gender identity, you can have your kids taken away from you.
Well, that's the communist thing, isn't it? Take your kids away and you teach them somewhere else.
Yeah.
So what's your views on it, John?
It's absolutely evil.
Yeah, it
because what you're doing is allowing people to take control of kids who don't have the ability to make decisions, and they're going to regret it many years.
They're grooming them, aren't they? They're grooming them into it. They're encouraging them.
Yes,
I mean, I heard Alex saying she used to like to climb trees. She likes Formula One.
Yeah.
Tomboys now would get told, "Oh, you're a boy." And actually, with the tomboys, as Andre always says, turn into the prettiest girls in the end. Remember Kylie Minogue in Neighbours?
No, I don't. But no,
No,
then also, if you think about it, if you flip it on the other direction, it's
not as old as he looks, Pete.
I'm not. This is what Westminster being
Only
in this
22.
building does to you. But no, if you look at say what would be classed as quite slightly effeminate kids, they'd say, oh, well, you're not slightly effeminate. You're a trans woman or whatever.
It's all cool and fashionable, and a lot of the classes now you get 6. I remember Piers Morgan saying in his daughter's class there's about 6 of them. That's obviously not right. 30 years ago it was 1 out of 20,000 or even more than that, and now it's quite a regular. It's become a youth culture in many ways.
It really has.
Sorry guys, but it's absolutely evil.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Absolutely evil.
And in the future we'll look back at all this.
The money they're thrown at this, and yet today it's been come out that men with they're not going to get prostate cancer.
Yeah. They're not going to get the blood test because they say it's not accurate, and yet it's saved about 1,800 lives a year.
That saves lives, not ruins lives.
But of course, it's the men. We're the bottom of the queue, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer a year ago.
Yeah.
Not through a proper, a formal test for PSA, but for something else that I went to, and the nurse there said, "Oh, your urine sample is showing something up. It may just be that, but I'll do a PSA, take an extra blood sample," and it was discovered. And since then, the health service has been absolutely fantastic.
And that's the test that they want to stop. The one you had, the PSA, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Which is why do you think they're doing it? It's almost like they're they've got an ideology, and it's blokes, and we're the bottom of the chain. Do you know what I mean? It's like, when they went on about breast cancer, but they didn't go on about other.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? It's about having it as a national rollout plan. How often do you see things for kind of breast cancer screenings and all that kind of stuff? Despite the fact that prostate cancer is one of the biggest killers of men, and it's it's a certain window, and they're saying they don't need to do the tests anymore. It's probably realistically, it'll be one study that they'll use as the foundation of all this, because what it'll be is they just don't have the money to do it. And
but John's right. They use the money. I mean, the money for the trans thing, that's not the issue. It's the moral things, but the money that they waste on loads of other things. You know what I mean? Diversity officers.
Let's be real. We're asking the National Health Service to do prostate exams. They're probably going to start doing them on women because they don't know what a man is. This is part of the problem. You're asking the National Health Service to point out a man and a woman.
Women can have prostates.
We're all pretty much done for, if we're honest.
Thanks, Sean. Keith in Banbury. You're on Talk.
Ash,
yeah, man.
It's been a while. I haven't spoke to you since we lost James. God bless him.
How you doing, man? You all right, Keith?
Yeah, I've had a few ups and downs, The two things, the immigration concerns and the two child benefit cap changes and whatever. The immigration concerns, well, we all need to think about when something is happening that seems like madness, it's because it's got to happen. And I think the reason why this got to happen, because 2 decades ago, 2.5 decades, 3 decades ago, we had Thatcherism and own your own council house and go out to work, husband, wife. Instead of 4 children, I was one of 4. My father was one of 7. Yeah. Well, what happened there was we weren't breeding, to put it animal-wise, we weren't breeding future taxpayers for the country. So a problem started to occur. So a certain working-class person that was involved in government put the idea forward in a certain meeting that if we have immigration, they will be our future taxpayers. So they encourage immigration.
What are you saying? What, John Major, or are you talking about Blair?
That's right. It was the Blair years, and it wasn't a bad idea, and it was good, and we've all got immigrants.
And they all be Labour voters. That's what their view was, wasn't it?
Well, at the moment, that's what the view is now, but at the time, it wasn't then. I've got Muslim friends, I've got African friends, and they're all wonderful. You got good bad people, good white people, good black people, blah, 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 whatever. Forget that anyway. Yeah. But the problem is, it got out of control.
Yeah.
Well, mass migration, So we got enclaves of cultures rather than people blending into British culture.
The guardrails came off when European enlargement, when they let Poland in, and that era of.
But at least they matched our culture. You know what I mean? They were close to it. Whereas now we have people that don't.
Keith brings up a really good point here. Is actually what we didn't do is we let in immigration to fill up the skills gap, but we didn't retrain the coming up generation to take those jobs, so we wouldn't need immigration. What they did is they just sent everybody off to university and whacked up the debt on everyone.
50% of people at university.
I say that every single time. That policy has killed this country.
Yeah, because it's not if taking 50% of people means you've got average people. You don't want average people in university. You want the best.
Yeah, but the main reason this has happened is because the Westminster bubble, as people have described it as, they don't live the real life. You do. You're in between 2 lives, Ash. I can tell that from your character. You're in that area. You know what's going on in the Westminster bubble. You also know what's going on in the real life.
Exactly.
People with real life know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that is affecting everybody.
Well, of course,
and the biggest problem with government is they do not tell the truth. Now, if you start telling the truth, there are certain political parties now coming out into the wider stream, like Reform, and they're talking the talk. Whether or not they'll walk the walk, I don't know. I'm not a supporter. I've been a paid-up member of another political party, and I don't believe there's a home for a...
So you've got no one to vote for, you think, in the election?
Exactly, unless they start talking about what I talk about and then deliver it.
But wouldn't you try reform? I mean, I know you're saying you don't know if they will or won't, but at least they're probably the only one that's different. People are just going to vote for them because they're the other option.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's not the only reason, right? There's certain policies, and that's where I would touch on the 2-child benefit cap. That was brought in by Labour, which you may or may not confirm. It was brought in by Labour. Because we all know at the moment, and then 22 years ago, it was really bad, where I know people now, and I knew people then, that had 2, 3, 4, 5 children from 2 or 3 different fathers, and they were sucking it in the benefits, and people were angry about it, and it was done because somebody in a back room, in a smoky back room, decided something needs to be done about this, and they did something about it. They brought in the 2-child benefit cap. Well, they shouldn't have brought that in. What we need now is a political party, and I've put this in a manifesto. I haven't submitted it to either of the political parties, and that is, instead of a 2-child benefit cap, what we ought to do, if you're working and your wife works, you've got to pay your mortgage, you've got to pay your bills. Every child you will have £5,000 extra tax relief on your income. And that will encourage people to work. They then can support that child, and we will then breed our own future workforce in 20 years' time.
Why should we have to subsidise people having kids, you know?
As a person who doesn't have kids, I have to admit, I find it infuriating that I keep being told I've got to pay for the next
we've got to pay for a bit. And also, if you just let the people who've got a few quid breed kids, they're probably the more cleverer, university, and they'll breed better quality kids. So let's encourage better quality kids. We should get a discount. If you've got a university degree, you get cheaper childcare. Help the planet, man.
The people we want to have kids are the ones where the mum works, the dad works, they're working to pay their bills. They can't afford to pay their mortgage and whatever. They can't afford to buy their food.
I think that's the key issue, isn't it?
Working
and they're paying the tax for other people.
I think that's the key issue. Is instead of having all the subsidies and all the rest of it, we just get the economy going. We strip back red tape. We actually have some growth. And we actually use the economy in the way that it's supposed to be done. We don't need all this complex tax codes and all the rest of it if we just get back to the fundamentals of having a solid, growing economy.
Tax code should be on one page.
Since I've been alive.
We should get perks for not having kids. We won't need kids in the future with AI and all the robots. We don't need kids. When you get old, you go, we better have kids because we've got a white parents' bottom. We've got robots that will be able to do that. They're very tactile.
If a political party rewarded the hard-working, patriotic people of this country to breed their children because they can afford to do it, we would keep our country. That is what I'm talking about. And that tax relief is not giving them money, it's tax relief. You work hard, I'll reward you. And then those children would get fed. They don't need a bloody breakfast club, and the world and this country would be a better place.
Thanks, Keith. That's Keith's manifesto. Yeah, that breakfast club thing's rubbish. Just feed your kids cornflakes. How much is cornflakes? Yeah. I only had a cup of tea when I was a kid in the morning, and then I bought some toast at break time.
Yeah. I don't know. I always find it weird. Did you see the video that the government brought out about that, where basically all the parents were just like, it just gives me an extra 15 minutes to get to work on time? It had nothing to do with feeding their kids or anything. I was like, which idiot put that out? And then I realised it's the government, so pick one.
Well, it was the Man United footballer, wasn't it? What's his face? And I'll tell you what.
No. What's his name?
Rashford, the thing is, he goes on all my life was hard, I didn't have well, it didn't do him any harm, did it? It made him hungry, it made him a success, and often you hear people like Charlie Mullins and people who were brought up in poverty, it actually encourages them, and if you give everything on a plate, you actually might be damaging the kid.
But then, to be honest, I don't really
starve the children and make them stronger.
I don't blame the generation who are considered soft and all the rest of it for being like that, because you raise them like that. If you take away all risk, all moments in life where you get some resilience and they don't have any, well, why are you so surprised that the first stumbling block, they fold like a cheap flan? It's rather ridiculous.
More gruel at school. Give them gruel. Do you know what gruel is? Because we learnt about it.
No, I don't.
Because you think gruel's not nice, don't you? Gruel, but actually Horlicks and Ovaltine are gruel.
Are they really?
It's not that bad, is it? Actually,
I never had either of them.
I like both of them.
Never had either of them.
Have you not had gruel?
No.
Next week...
No, I'm going to put this out there. Behind the glass, we do not need to give me gruel. No.
We're going to call it the Ovaltine window.
The Ovaltine window.
Every week. We'll all have our
own. Bravo.
Anyway, we're going to take a little breaky, and then we're going to come back with Mary, Matt in London, Steve Manchester, Chris Epsom, Paul Les, Dawn New Zealand, William in Aloha. That must be in Hawaii. Oh, no, Aloha. And Mary in Kilmarnock. Why, what's Marnock done? 0344 499 1000. It's me and Pete on Talk. Back in a jiffy.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, it is. It's Talk. It's me and Peter. Andre somewhere in the Shuk market in Marrakesh.
Yeah, probably shouting at somebody in a very loudly. Loudly.
Yeah, dressed like the man from Del Monte.
Yeah,
he is actually. Yeah.
Do you know in Indiana Jones where it's the guy from the museum wanders around? You know, he's supposed to be this really smart guy. That's exactly how I imagine what Andre's like.
He's
on holiday.
he's like the fat man from Del Monte. He always says yes.
Oh.
William in Aloha.
Hi, Ash. How are you?
Aloha. Hi, William.
Yeah, hi. Good morning.
All right, man. What's up, man?
Yeah, listen, Ash, I've been doing a lot of thinking this week, obviously, about the budget, and I think what you resist persists. And when I first heard about the 2-cap benefit cap, I thought that wasn't cool. Yeah. But I've spent my time meditating up the mountain, and I've come back down, and I'm ready to embrace it.
And what have you discovered while you were meditating about the
How big was the mountain?
2-child cap? Was it Ben Nevis?
No, it wasn't Ben Nevis. It was just local healers.
A local mountain, a smaller one, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I've realised is that our Rachel Chancellor Reeves has delivered a stroke of genius, because we have a problem with the birth rate, and what this is going to enable people to do is to produce a lot of children. And I'm willing to take the bull by the horns and go for it. And you know, I think I've got ADHD. And I think it was last week someone shouted at me. I've got post-traumatic stress disorder because of that. I've got anxiety.
You need to get a BMW
I was just about to say, surely that means
you need a mobility vehicle.
Yeah.
I do need a mobility vehicle, because I'm going to get myself 10 wives. I want at least 5 of them to be big booty Latinas. So I need to go to the gym to get my muscles right, because some of these big booty Latinas, you need muscles to maneuver them around the bedroom. So for everyone else that's going to be working, I want you guys to keep working. I'm loving your work, guys. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on having sex with all of my ladies. I'm going to produce lots of children.
Because there's no limit. You could be a millionaire off this.
We're winner, chicken dinner. I mean, I'm going to have a wife from Brazil, maybe a wife from Argentina, and we're just going to produce babies, and it's going to be great.
This is fantastic. You know, this is why they're ahead up in Scotland, aren't they? North of the border, they think ahead like that. Matt in London, are you going to do a lot of impregnation to boost your finances?
That's not a question.
If I could. No, I'm joking. Hi, Ash. Hi, Pete.
All right. Hey. All right. What's up, man?
I want to tell you a story about something that happened to me back in April, and I thought it was just to do with me. And I've had a lot of talk with other people recently, and other people had similar things. But I run a small business.
Yeah.
Back in April, I did a extra job on a Friday morning, and I travelled quite a distance, about 40 miles. And during the course of the day, my bank account was stopped. It was frozen.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up walking home. I got a lift home towards the end of it. But
what
anyway,
do you mean? You couldn't get petrol or something? What do you mean?
My normal current account was frozen by a bank, which I don't want to put you in problems, but my dad walked me there as a 3-year-old and opened a Mickey Mouse account with them. So the loyalty was there.
So anyway, did you find out what it was about?
Yeah, I did, and I didn't really question it. So since then, I got cross and I opened an online account which limits paying in, paying out. Then I got another high street bank which also gave me the same lettering that bank did.
Yeah.
I spoke to a lot of people now. So 30 contractors that I spoke to, 7 people have had the same problem.
Well, I remember when Farage got debanked and caused a big furore. Loads of people who aren't well known, it came out. I mean, what was the reason? What business do you run, and why do you think? Is it some Twitter post or something?
That's it. Actually, I want to highlight, because you've got a great program and you guys talk, and like they said about the budget yesterday, but it's been going on since. A lot of people are saying it's because they're going to struggle with digital ID, so they're putting through some of the things they want to do anyway in different
methods. Digital ID will be used to debank people, to stop you buying meat, stop you flying on holiday. But what is the reason why they came for you, Matt?
Ash, my current account's been frozen since April, and people.
But why? Why have they done that? What is your business?
So I've researched it. Basically, what they want me to do is, because my business, all my accounts go through it, and it's legitimate. There's nothing wrong with the business. They said that one payment went through, and they wanted to do a personal.
A politically exposed person. Are you a PIP? because I'm a pip, and I'm with you on this. My bank accounts have been frozen more times than these.
Really?
Yeah, because when you're involved or you're in the political world.
Do you
or
have more than one account, like your
I've got
accountant told you?
Yeah. It's all that Russian money, yeah.
So, it's all that Russian money you're taking.
Sorry, I'm not Nathan Gill.
So, but why have they shut your account? Is some political person paid into your system? Is that what it was?
No. Well, I had years ago something like similar, but this is strange. My account is just two of us, and we run a business, and there's a perfect legitimate tax system going through it. But one payment went through. Someone paid me. A customer basically asked me to switch their card, and they paid me direct. So I got a thing saying I had to do a personal tax return. So basically, after 3 months, I worked out that I'd have to pay about £900 for the tax return that I have to claim back with my normal tax return next year. Anyway, to cut a long story short, this has happened to 7 other people I know. And basically what they want is they want the tax up front and you claim it back next year on your normal tax.
I've heard about this.
This is a pretty common story, actually. And it's a very dirty trick from HMRC.
What business are you in then, Matt?
Basically, I've got about 10 estate agents, and I get the houses between tenancies, so I put them back ready to be rented 3 or 4 days later.
So is it all? What's going on with this renters reform bill? How's that going to affect you?
There's so many things. The biggest problem we got at the moment is that the minimum wage keep going up. We got staff that can't do the job, and we're paying them more than they can earn.
Yeah, it's about 12 quid now, isn't it? An hour.
It's ridiculous. They've made it so expensive to
It's
employ
like 100
people.
quid a
Why
day.
would you bother employing people?
Plus, you got to pay national insurance.
I've been in business 13 years, and the student period has helped me out big time, and I save a lot of it to get through the year. But the last few years, I've made no money. And just another side point is Labour got in July last year. I've got more parking tickets in the last this year, since July. 3 times more than I got since 2012.
I've been getting them where I shouldn't be getting them and writing a letter and they go, oh, yeah, sorry about that. And then I get them in the same place again. And obviously what they're doing is ticketing where people shouldn't be getting it. And a lot of people will just pay it.
Yeah. Because they do that thing, don't they, where if you pay
that's
up
fraud.
front, if you pay up front, it's cheaper, isn't it?
Yeah, they try that, yeah.
I got one last week where the neighbours said that the guy saw the car, saw me get out to unload products and machines to a job, and he said he sat on the wall with a stopwatch, and at 5 minutes and 10 seconds he put a ticket on it, and I was back at 6 minutes.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what they.
Well, this is the thing. It's just a cash cow. They're just doing these fines literally for anything. Let's not
Speed
forget.
cameras, the yellow boxes. They make them extra long, those yellow checkered boxes, so that you get caught up in them.
What was the one we spoke about, where it's the lady who poured coffee down a water drain and they tried to find 150 quid for it?
Yeah, and there was a woman who just put an envelope in a council bin.
Yeah.
But guys, thanks Ash, thanks Pete, and thanks Andre when he's not there. But normal people are getting screwed over, and it's really ridiculous because people like myself who are contractors, we earn the money. We're the ones most taxed. We're more likely to drink, more likely to smoke.
And if you were 13 years ago, when you were a student, you wouldn't bother now, would you, man? You'd leave the country.
One of my contractors, also, don't want to name names, but he's got 4 staff, and they're all fully qualified going through university. He runs a legitimate business. He got the same letter as me. He's gone under now, and
it can ruin a business overnight.
He's had to sack them because he couldn't pay them. And he got his parents to help him. They blocked the transfer from his parents.
Yeah.
And can I just say, since July, I've got about 37, 38 accounts to pay on the last day of the month. It's gradually gone down to being paid on time. They're coming in 2-3 weeks late. This morning I should have got paid. None of my 37 accounts are paid. Tomorrow morning I've got 4 staff turning up. I'm selling 2 cars, my PlayStation and 2 phones, because I'm not a wanker.
What cars are they?
Yeah. Just ones we use for business, they're not flash. But I'm
Good
not
mileage, low mileage.
Pay them and buy them back again when someone finally decides to pay me. And I can't blame them. They're not paying me because obviously the budget, they're worried about money themselves, aren't they?
Yeah, as a guy who's often caught in what I call the invoice wars between just trying to get the basic amount of money out of people, I have to admit this is only going to get significantly worse for contractors.
It's like a cancellation society. They can stop your money like that. If you've got a YouTube account, they can stop you and it's all cut off. If you've got an eBay account, they can stop you. We live in a society now which is dangerous and you don't know what to get. Peter Blexley, the other day, he's salt of the earth copper, like the Sweeney, threw a fag down a drain in Waterloo and was approached by an enforcement officer. I don't know what happened in the end, but
Yeah, £100 fine.
£100.
£100 fine.
He had to pay. I mean, a pack of fags is now 20 quid.
Is it? Oh.
It's only 5 packs of fags, but you know, just chucking it down the drain. You know, that's what the drains were for. But it's not.
Because this is always
it's safer than a bin, though.
Yeah, this is
you put
the
it.
thing,
They tell you to put it in a bin. You put
people
a fag
trying
in
to
a
do
bin.
the right thing end up getting fined, and yet Rachel Reeves can get all of her taxes wrong. She doesn't pay anything. You know, Johnny, one of the other ones as well, didn't pay anything, and yet they're still running the country.
Yeah. There was a guy who didn't pay his licence.
Yeah.
He actually resigned, did the right thing, which Rachel Reeves didn't. Anyway. 03444991000. We got Mary. We'll go to Janice again. Laurie, Tracy, Dawn, Paul, and Mary again in a couple of minutes on Talk. It's Pete and Ash.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Pete and Ash, 03444991000 on Talk. And this is an interesting text from, I think it's a stepmother of a trans person. Hi, crew. Until 2 years ago, I would have agreed with everything you say about transgender people. I now have a transgender stepdaughter. I promise you it's not a cultural thing. Think about it. Why the hell would you choose to go through the absolute hell of pretending to be in the wrong body? Yes, it's more prevalent these days, but so are a lot of things. That doesn't mean it's a phase or a fashion. These people are our sons and daughters and need support and love. Stop being nasty. Please, I'm begging you to educate yourselves. Trans people are born with a brain that is opposite of their physical appearance. It's that simple. Please read this out. People kill themselves over this pain. Thank you. That's from JB. But, you know, that's what they argue. They say, please give them the support and love. And they say, you've got to support them through it. And then, like I said, I heard this person who'd been through it and said, oh, I wish my parents would have told me not to do this. Support. So I understand the quandary because it's their kid and they want to support them. And if and once they've gone through it, they're not going to suddenly change their mind because it would be, you know, so what a quandary. But you know, she's saying it's not a phase. But I mean, when you're getting like 5 or 6 girls in a class that are saying they're trans,
it might not be a phase, and it might not be a choice. But if you're being led down a particular path, like your school is saying one thing, you know, your culture is saying TV is saying it, then it's not necessarily that they're being told that this is the thing, but they're being led down into an idea. And if you do have these kind of mental health problems and these kind of issues, it's not difficult to see how you can end up in this kind of situation. And I'm sorry, I don't believe it is good to tell children you can be born in the wrong body. I don't believe that is a good thing to tell anybody, because you're setting people up
it's
for
the
a
worst
world
age
of pain.
to say it to them.
Really is.
I mean, you wouldn't say to an anorexic, "Oh yeah, I agree, you are overweight." You know, you should. You know what I mean? It's surely a mental.
And then
disorder.
also the bigger issue, besides with this being kids, if we look at the trans issue overall, you're asking me to change the fundamentals of society based on nothing more than what you're classing as a feeling. And most people can't tell you what a man or what it feels like to be a man or a woman. You're asking me to radically change the structure of society on a level that has never really been done before.
And also the structure of a human body.
Yeah.
We're not advanced, you know, we're not like Dr. McCoy. We can just rub this special screwdriver and your DNA changes. What they do, they cut bits off you and add bits on and take a skin off your arm and fashion a penis. This is what they do. And then you end up with horrendous health problems and you can get cancer in the future. And people really need to think about this.
I always say that we will look back on this era in the way that we look back on the Victorian era and how they handled the mentally ill. I really do. I think we'll be ashamed of ourselves in our society and what we allowed, and more importantly, was kind of funded by the taxpayer. I think that's a big problem as well.
Mary in Kilmarnock, what do you want to say? Morning, Mary.
Hi, Ash. Hi, Pete.
Hey.
I heard the end of the call, a couple of callers back.
Earwigging, were we?
Yes.
On the radio, how dare you?
About the prostrate, cutting back on that. I just think that, it would be nice if we actually got some politicians that, first of all, weren't so self-centred and also had a bit of care for the people they're supposed to be looking after.
What do you think, Pete? You've been in politics for a long time. What's going on with our politicians, man?
I've been in and around Westminster for about 10 years now, and it has got... There's not just that it got worse, it fell off a cliff. It really did. The rot. I literally, you see it every day. Not only is Parliament crumbling in terms of it physically, it just doesn't exist anymore. And this is why I keep saying to people, we have to stop saying collapsing, although we're declining. We've declined. We
don't run things. I mean, what Dominic Cummings said. It's all a sham. The cabinet meeting. It's run by the civil service,
and that's not even run by it.
And
it's just being propped up. It's being propped up, most of it. This is the thing. Once the Tories and the Labour Party fell, the only two institutions still keeping the rest of everything afloat. Once they crumbled, everything went. So unfortunately, I would love to have those kind of things, Mary, but I just don't see it, and I don't see it in the current Parliament or anybody I know that kind of wants to
be able to turn it around if she ever got in power?
This is the thing. To turn it around, you really need a whopping majority to do it.
Mary?
One of the predominant things is if you're over 71, you've got to make your own appointment for breast screening. If you're over 74, you've got to make your own appointment for bowel screening.
It's very complicated.
But surely to goodness, that's against the
Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah, and also against the legal, the Equality Act.
I was going to say, I know in the prostate...
ageism,
I was going to say, I know in the prostate thing that they were saying there's a window, isn't there, between certain ages, and that's the bit where you're most at risk. I presume that's the same thing in the breast cancer.
I suppose when it comes to that, where there's the highest risk, that's what they do.
When you're in the window, that the government will the NHS anyway, will step in and they'll put your appointments outside of the window. You have to do it yourself, which I don't necessarily see as a bad thing.
Although I remember that because the cervical cancer, they only do it over a certain age, and there was this girl kept going to the hospital or the doctor and saying, "I've got this thing," and she was in her 20s, and she died from it in the end. So
it's always the thing about COVID, isn't it? That nobody went to the blood tests and all this kind of stuff because of COVID. So actually, the secondary hit of COVID, it was probably worse than the actual coronavirus itself.
Well, and the other thing is the cheek of Reeves saying we all have to contribute.
Don't even get me started, Mary. Honestly, the idea of it's a contribution.
It'd be interesting to see what the P11D forums say, because they don't pay any tax on their rent for their London properties, for their heating. And the thing I find that I've got a real grumble against is the way that they advertise themselves at football grounds, etc., and claim it off their expenses for advertising.
Outrageous.
Yeah.
It is outrageous.
It
Pigs
is.
at the trough. Paul in Leicester. Morning.
Good morning. Sorry, Ian, but could you just go a few caveats? And one thing I'd like to always, well, not.
You've took a few tablets. What?
A caveat. The thing about child taking so many children out of public set. I'm not having that. I think of child public set in the UK in 2025. I like Oliver in rags for clothes. Please,
yeah, I mean, when you look at the 70s, that was proper poverty, wasn't it? In the 60s, people living in hovels, outdoor toilets, things dripping, and, you know, basically like Janice.
And nobody challenges them when they say that. It's like, well, how can you not like that? It's like saying if you think immigration should be controlled, you're also a racist.
Yeah.
Nobody ever challenges them on that.
So I was going to say, it's what Stephen Barrett, the barrister commentator, he makes a really good point about it. It's what they call the tyranny of the vague. In other words, things like poverty, you mean one thing, I mean something different, but we both use the same word. What they've been able to do is to use language to stop debate, which is quite a skill.
And,
if you think about it.
the judicial process, that's what they use.
It's a very, because the best one is, you hear it over taxes, is fair. So you've got to pay your fair share. And everyone goes, yeah. But you all mean radically different things.
And reasonable. Reasonable. What does that mean?
It's ridiculous. But you're right, it's never properly challenged, because what they do is, well, you don't want to feed starving children. How terrible of you. The phrase, won't somebody think of the children, is up there with Ronald Reagan's one, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. It's terrifying.
Everyone can buy a box of cornflakes, you know what I mean? There's no kid needs to not have their breakfast.
Exactly, and these people, and like they do that, they don't get challenged at all. And the baying mob behind them, behind Rachel Reeves the other day, when they were screaming necklace, I thought that this guy, they normally say science is death. That was so loud. I'm thinking, all the people, the Labour voters, like the accused come what Mr. Mondays and stuff, who get up and get up and go to work. They're thinking, what the hell is going on here? They absolutely charged me because they take more taxes on stuff like that. But moreover, what point? I've got jumped over a bit. When Cameron came in 2010, I know it was a coalition, and all people started to talk about the tight knots of the institutions, what Tony Blair put us in, so that every institution is more powerful and taking things away from here. So if Cameron had a mandate, that's a mandate, 2015, 17, whatever, all the mandate. Why didn't start to unpick it? Because
he carried on with the Blairism project, didn't he?
He didn't have the mandate in 2010 because basically that's what they had to have.
In the next one.
So that's the one you go after. It's not 2010, it's 2015. They had a majority of, I think it was about 15. He wasn't actually that big of a majority. But what's interesting is actually at that time the government was able to convince the public to vote for austerity. They were able to say that we're going to cut back, we're going to do all this stuff, because you know what wasn't happening at the time? We weren't giving billions away to migrants. We didn't have the migrant hotel problem. The reason the government is in such a bind now is because it's telling you to contribute more whilst giving your money to somebody that doesn't deserve it.
And the 110 billion a year, what they've got to pay on the debt from the COVID.
Yeah, and probably paid back since 1997.
You used to see things in Parliament and stuff about mid 2015, 16 onwards, and there used to be right things, and they're all arguing Bill Cash and all that sense of, and they're saying Parliament is supreme and stuff, and they're all arguing about stuff and can't get nothing through. This before Brexit, but because it was intertwined, there's even more so. And then you had the Brexit thing, and it just obviously it widened, it made it worse. But thinking people have been given the mandates, the Tories were given the mandate to do stuff, which is i.e. act like Conservatives do, start untwining the things. However long it takes, you were getting again, untwine a bit more. So, but we've not done that, and with 25.
Yeah, they didn't want Brexit. No. They were against. They were going against the people. They didn't want it, and they weren't going to listen to us. We've got a little break here, have we? Little break here, and we'll reconvene in a couple of minutes.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk 03444991000. Although it's the last portion now, but we might squeeze you in. And after us is going to be Ben Fletcher and Marky Randall. He'll be popping in to have a chat to us as well. By the way, the great Peter Whittle has died from the National Culture Forum. He was great, and the National Culture Forum is made. You came across him?
So I knew Peter reasonably well, but I do quite a few bits over the National Culture, New Culture Forum, and I tell you now, this is a sad day for the right. Peter was a stallion
ahead of the game of everyone. He was eloquent in the way he put his case forward.
Yeah, he was banging on about things like Brexit, patriotism, the need to kind of reinvigorate patriotism, and all this kind of stuff that we're now talking about. Peter was talking about 15 years ago, if not more, and it's a great guy. And
I didn't know how ill he was. A month ago he came on and said, I'm taking a break, and he didn't look that ill, and then suddenly it's a terrible news today. And of course, Rafe Heidelman-Koo, Peter Kazelny.
Philip Kazelny,
they're all on it. I mean, it is fantastic. Anyway, so the great Peter Whittle, Cindy in Pigeon in Michigan. Howdy doody, good afternoon or whatever. Morning, isn't it? About 8 in the morning or something.
It's evening. It's evening. Yeah.
Evening? Oh, yeah, it's evening. It's about 6 in the evening, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm 5 hours behind you.
Right, okay, so it's 7, it's 7:45. Mm-hmm. Ridiculous, it's 7:45 there. But anyway, what do you want to talk about, Cindy?
I wanted to say I wish Keir Starmer would take a page out of Trump's book and really, really start vetting the migrants. You guys have a really dangerous situation, and we did too. It's not as dangerous.
Well, I can say America's just gone through the consequences of not taking vetting very seriously, haven't they?
And you've got lots of guns there as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, but everybody seems like, obviously British press is obviously very anti-Trump, but I was going to say, what's it like there when because he's kind of come down pretty draconian. He's come down even harder.
Is it 6 months now or how long?
I think I'm not quite sure.
So what's the changes? Because you must notice now. What's the changes where you are?
Well, it's still, the people are still pretty heavily divided. Yeah. The changes as far as where I live in a very Trump area.
Yeah.
So there's not much changes. You would never have, what is that, call to prayer here. That would never happen.
What about the piggy thing where he said to that reporter, quiet piggy? Was he being like Kermit Frog, where he used to call Piggy, didn't he?
I don't have a problem with it. The lady was asking, he got irritable.
Yeah.
But, people need to stop being so sensitive.
Yeah. Well, anything to try and have a go.
I was going to say, Cindy, if you work out how to do that for people, would you let us all know and we'll broadcast it out, because the sensitivity level of people is just through the roof.
I'm working on it. I've lost quite a few friends, believe it or not.
I call it a sport.
Yeah, but you don't need those friends. You actually discover the friends that you never wanted.
True. I remember. I remember in 2015 when Trump came down that escalator, said he was going to announce he was going to be president. I said that guy's going to win. I lost more friends in a year than I've ever lost in my entire life, and I'm very good at doing that.
Well, we have that in common. Yeah.
So tell us what you're doing today, man. What you going to do? Well, no, tomorrow, because it's already the evening. You used to do webcam stuff, didn't you?
I did for a few years.
With your husband?
Yeah, it was. He participated like once or twice.
Can we fill in the
OnlyFans? Yeah, it was a pre OnlyFans, wasn't it? Just your own. She looks like Cyndi Lauper, by the way.
See, that could be.
It was interesting. There were people that wanted just the most craziest things. Like some people paid just to be humiliated.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
It's called the British taxpayer, and we do it. We have to do it. It's the law here, I'm afraid.
Powerful people who went to private schools.
And speaking of getting rid of that 2-child cap that's.
What happens in the States? Do you get what happens with your benefits in the States? My mate said if you lose your job, you get 6 months of your actual pay, and then you don't get anything.
Yeah, you don't get anything.
So you get well paid for 6 months with your wage.
Well, you know what? But you can file for an extension, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, but is it like, say, over here, where you can file for the extension, but it takes you like 2 years to even get anywhere near, any completion of it? Is it? Oh.
No, not 2 years. No.
Wow.
No.
Again, something else America is doing just so much better than us, and yet we're told it's a terrible place because Trump is president.
Thanks, Cindy. Let's go to Chris in Epsom. Chris, oh yeah, you're back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
what
back.
were you going to talk about, Chris? We never got round to it, did
Yeah.
we? Yeah.
Peter, don't take me off on a tangent.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's stick to your point, because
Right.
you called in last night, we never had time, and now
Yeah.
we've got you again at the end. What do you want to say then, Chris? You're trying to tell us something.
Right. A very senior CIA operative from Benghazi, a woman called Sarah Adams.
Yeah.
She has been shouting since the beginning of October. She was what was called a targeter. So she would gather up all the intelligence, all the chatter, as they call it, and then she would send SEAL teams out or Delta out to deal with it. Now, she was, she really was at the sharp end of everything.
Yeah.
And she's been shouting since the beginning of October that ISIS and Al Qaeda have been sneaking cells in not just the UK, all over Europe.
Well, of course, why wouldn't you? If you're a terrorist group, you don't need to sort of sneak in. You just
Our
put them in
own-
on the boat and you're in there,
Our
aren't
own
you?
MI6 have been banging
And
on
who's the
about
guy, the SAS guy who's going to run for London Mayor? He's been talking about this.
Yeah.
And
Middleton, that's
Yeah,
it.
because you're former Special Forces, aren't you, Chris?
Yeah, same regiment.
Same regiment. So what's your views on this? Are we importing a load of basically ISIS terrorists and Afghani Taliban terrorists into this country? I mean, we obviously are, aren't we?
We're importing a load of trouble. Whether it happens in December, which Sarah Adams has been telling the whole of Epsom, Epsom,
The whole of
the
Epsom.
whole of Europe. And
What, she's saying something's going to happen in December?
This has been a thing for a while.
She's saying that to try and topple Western society, that small cells all over Europe are going to go for bad terrorist acts all over Europe during the month of our Lord to drive down morale and to create panic.
Yeah.
But our governments will be aware of this. What do you think's going on behind the scenes?
They're keeping their mouths very bloody closed.
Well,
Yeah, but MI5 must be doing it. There must be something going on.
Yeah, MI6 have been banging on about this issue for quite some time, about the fact that the migrant crisis is being used as cover
Why
for
wouldn't
bringing
you?
people in.
Why wouldn't you use that? It's
and
easy
yet,
getting
we
terrorism.
won't declare it a national emergency or a national crisis.
We saw that SAS raid of these Iranians, didn't we? And that was obviously something big. I think they were going to attack a synagogue or something. I mean, this is the worry, isn't it?
The thing is, right, it's because we had Johnson, who I used to like, but if I saw him on the street now, I'd slap him.
Well, yeah, metaphorically.
He has caused a major problem.
Yeah.
And Labour don't want to deal with it because it helps them with their ideology. Now, the thing is that legally, under maritime law, if you see a boat in distress, which could be overloading, right, you take it to the nearest port, all right?
Yeah.
So we do the same as what Greece and Italy is doing. We become tough. As soon as they leave and come into international waters, instead of operating a ferry service via the RNI, we turn them around and take them back into France.
Because that would be legal because of the nearest port.
Yes, exactly.
Also,
right.
we're allowed to block people for national security reasons. Never mind ECHR. That national security trumps all that. So
listen. If you read ECHR, right, this is why Peter's quite right when he said...
Oh, can we just clip that, by the way, that I was quite right about something, if you wouldn't mind?
Peter's quite right when he says...
That's a ringtone in the making.
about activist judges, right? Because the ECHR has rulings that says the ECHR is usurped if the person is a danger to the public, is a danger to national security,
exactly,
is a danger to is a drain on the economy, right?
And it tick all those boxes.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we got to go. We've run out of time again. You've got to call us. Going to have to call us on Thursday again, Chris, to continue with this story. But now we've got Ben Fletcher in the studio, who's going to be doing the show after this. Talk TV joined up together, and Ben doing it. And Ben has just bought the fool an electric car.
I have.
Are you gutted? What have you bought?
It's a VW ID4.
And how much
Nice. I got taken home by one of those. They're
Did
nice.
you?
It's about a few quid.
It's a
You're
lovely
doing
bit
all
of
right.
kit.
It's TV money.
How much extra is it going to cost you, though?
Not a huge amount.
No, it's not
If you offset what I'm spending in petrol, but not to get bogged down in numbers, but I got rid of my petrol card
Have
today.
you got a driveway charger?
That's a very, very sensitive subject at the minute. I was supposed to have one, but it's yet to be installed.
Oh, well, you got a driveway, so you can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's a big difference, isn't it? It's sort of racist against people who haven't got driveways, electric cars.
Drivewayist? Is that
Why
a thing?
did you do that, Ben? Why have you done that?
Because it was a cost-cutting thing and everything else. But I got rid of my Kia Sportage today. I sold my car to a certain company that buys.
What was your
Very
last
easy
car?
process. Kia Sportage, 66 plate. But I felt a little bit sad because that was, SUV. It's not. I'm not really a car person, as you can probably tell. But that was the sort of car. My youngest was a baby when we bought it. He's now
good
sort of
for
7.
kids, the SUVs are.
Yeah. But so I was a little bit. I said goodbye to her. I said goodbye, old girl, and sort of shut the door. And the guy who I flogged it to put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "Don't worry, she'll have a good second life." Literally, what he said to me.
Sorry, is this some kind of Disney or like Hallmark movie?
It was a little bit. It felt a little bit like that.
But it's beautiful. Like I said, I was in one yesterday, one of these Volkswagen ID. I think it was a 7 or something.
Yeah, the big ones.
Yeah,
it's incredible what they can do now.
Yeah, and they're so quick, aren't you? Just put your foot down.
Yeah.
And what's the mileage distance? 400-500 miles now, isn't it?
Well, if you go up to 100%, 80, it's more like 220 there.
And in the winter, it's less. And
it's
all
less
this.
because the battery's
There's
cold.
A lot of it's not really ready yet, is it, Ben?
No.
But what's going on your show, man, with you and Marky?
Loads coming up with me and at Marky Talk and at Stuart Armour, who's pushing the buttons for today.
Oh, Stewpot, yeah.
Yeah, Stewpot. Stuart's doing some stand-up comedy tomorrow night.
Which is funny in itself.
Yeah. So we'll chat to him about that. He's doing it for a very good cause, for charity. So we'll have a chat with him, see if we can prize out some of his gags and see how we get on with that. Looking ahead to another big Premier League weekend. Manchester City versus Leeds a bit later on. Could the Leeds manager lose his job? Very probably. Do you support a team, Peter?
I don't care about sport.
Fair enough.
He's a rugby league man.
I'm a
He's from
rugby league
Wigan.
guy, and I don't mind a bit of tennis, and I don't mind the Olympics. But when it comes to football, I somehow, despite growing up between Manchester and Liverpool, I learned nothing about football. I don't know how I was able to do that, but I consider it a skill.
So you're more league than union then?
Yes.
So Six Nations means nothing to you?
Well, I don't mind the Six Nations because I just get drunk during it, but
Well,
then I don't really need an excuse for that really these days. I just look outside the window and that's
anything could be on the TV, right?
Yeah,
it could be
I
heartbeat.
don't even need it on these days.
I'll be watching it. But what else have you got? Have you got any non-sport things? Because you do other non-sport stuff on the show.
Absolutely. We'll be heading down to Lanzarote Lane later on this morning and we'll be checking in. He's a director of Lanzarote FC, but he's a really interesting guy, Ian Lane, who's a club director, a Jersey boy who found his way out to the Canaries about 30 years ago. And just a really, really great story about how he sort of went on one big adventure, found his way to the Canaries, and he said, I'd rather be skint and warm than skint and cold in the UK.
Yeah,
and that type of thing. Horse racing tips from our resident tipster, Tony McCormack.
Oh, yeah?
And
Is he any good, is he?
He's pretty good, yeah. A bit of a purple patch lately.
I was going to say, when it comes to the horse racing, the gambling laws have all changed, haven't they? And all the taxes and all the rest of it. That's just kind of whack sports, isn't
I'll be
it?
chatting to Tony about that, yeah.
See, I do know something.
That's
very good, mate.
I think they did pretty well,
I'm
actually.
going to clip that as well.
I think the World of Racing did pretty well. The British Horse Racing Authority.
It got a lot of the kind of things, so it didn't get affected by it, did it?
Yeah.
But everything else got whacked up instead.
Exactly. But I'll chat to Tony about this. But, you know, a lot of people now will gamble on their phones, and I always say, please gamble responsibly, kids. But it's so easy to do it on your mobile phone. But the actual act of going into a bookies on the high street, kids, remember the high street? Ask your dad. Before it all became vape shops and
Especially all
charity
bookies
shops.
now and chocolate candy.
But going in and placing a bet, it used to be one of the great British things,
rite of
didn't
passage.
it? It was a rite
You
of
do
passage.
it first ever in your life on National Day, Grand National Day, and wouldn't you?
Exactly. I went into a bookies once with my eldest when he was a baby. He was asleep in the pushchair, and I went in to do my usual Saturday accumulate. This would have been nearly 10 years ago in my locale of Reigate in Surrey, and the guy asked me to leave because there was an under 18 in store. And I said to him, I'm not being funny, mate. I said, do you think he's going to jump out and do a coupon? He went, no, it's more than my job's worth. You know, we'd lose our licence. He's a baby in a pram.
Yeah, but now he's 7 years old and is a serious gambling addict.
He knows more about the Cheltenham going than I do.
Have you seen this latest Mo Farah story where Mo Farah, there's a boy called Mo Farah and he basically nicked his identity and he could have been the champion rather than most. I don't really understand it. But
that's a little bit like The Simpsons, isn't it?
It's not Mo Farah.